I get an early pick, I'm just taking Nabers.
There's no point to take Stroud, right? Like, is there a point to take Stroud in a best ball format?
And you change your name to Stephen A. Swift. You are the leader. You are a different group of Swifties.
I think Jameson Williams is going to outscore. He's going to outpoint Amon-Ra St. Brown this year.
The stats are kind of fugazi, man.
Come on.
Let's go.
There's like 50 feet of shit and then Kyler and Edwards.
I think it's a buying opportunity for the Chiefs, actually.
You ever see me take Bryce Young as a quarterback, even as a backup? Smack me when you see me in Vegas.
I'm all about Devonte Adams.
They're hurting their own team. You could just turn around later and take, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin.
I just go, what the fuck are they doing at running back?
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, another Tuesday night live draft coverage here at the FFPC. We are covering a $100,000 FFPC Baby Gorilla draft. I'm your host, Aidan Corey. Joining me, Jake Venuti, Dave Tripoli, and the newest member of the RotoWire stable, their newest senior content strategist, Ian Hartitz, ladies and gentlemen. Ian, thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Appreciate you saying my fancy dynasty job title. That just translates to, chopping up with you guys and talking some fantasy football. But yeah, guys, always fun. Love drafting over on FFPC. Going to be in these streets myself very, very soon, streaming on the RotoWire channel. So yeah, man, it looks like we've already got started here.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done your official title, which is the president of the Cordero Patterson fan club. I told you I have a story. I have over here, I don't know if you can even see it, I have my autographed copy of Matthew Berry's fantasy life book. I met him when I was like 15 when the book came out. He went on his tour. And my cocky 15-year-old self or 14-year-old self had him sign it. Sorry about Cordero, Matthew Berry. That waited in line to have him do that. And he made a big thing. He was like, look what this kid is having me sign, because he was all aboard Cordero Patterson that year. So
I'm sure he was cool about it. Shout out to the godfather of fantasy football for making so many opportunities for us. But that is funny, man. Again, I've spread so much Cordero propaganda, warranted propaganda. That's right. Go Scott Fishbowl for Cordero over the years. He did slide into DMs one time, just like, hey, man, I appreciate you. So shout out C-Pat. He's a real one.
Gotta love Cordero Patterson. And I'm going to just jump right into it. This kind of first round. The one that I wanted to talk about, it's, a very simple question, but I think one that needs to be asked is, if you're on the clock at 1, is it Jahmyr Gibbs or is it Bijan Robinson, or is it an outside name? Is it a Jamar Chase, a JSN, a Puka that rises into you? But predominantly on FFPC, it's either been one of the two running backs in Gibbs or Bijan. I just kind of wanted your stance and why at the 101.
I'm Gibbs, man. I honestly haven't had to think all that hard about it. I think whenever we're breaking down any given running back, it's like, how talented are they? Well, Gibbs and Bijan, you want to say they're top 2 running backs in the league. Not too many people are going to disagree. The volume factor, but without David Montgomery, I think you can pretty much call that a wash. Are they, in their prime? Do we have injuries to worry about? Both guys, no, 24 years old, feeling good. And then it's just the offensive scoring environment. All right. And we can look at these preseason Vegas implied point totals to see where they think the offenses are going to line up. Lions are 1, Falcons are tied for 24. So look, Bijan's the man. I'll take him at 102. But for me, let's just bet on the way better offense. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs.
Turp, I gotta ask you. Saquon Barkley breaks into the first round, first time on any of our streams that we've seen Saquon enter the first round. Is this something that you think we're going to see at all, or do you kind of maybe see this as an exception? Follows that up with A.J. Brown there at the 201, a guy we're talking about rising. So before any of that, do we have an Eagles fan maybe at the 12th spot? What's going on?
Maybe you just didn't hear there was a trade, possibly. I mean, you never know. I mean, A.J. Brown.
It's a Tim Tebow jersey.
Yeah.
Usually Aiden always goes, what jersey you have on. And most people would probably sit here. I don't care if you know ball or not. You would never guess that I have a Tim Tebow jersey. I love the Eagles. Never played a regular season down whatsoever. But, hey. Right when it came out, I was like, this will be a good purchase. And, throughout these shows, I like wearing, silly jerseys, and you're going to see some other ones come up here that you're going to laugh at. But back to Saquon Barkley. I think he's a good buy low right now. I think he's a guy that, last year it just didn't work out. He came off that career, Super Bowl champion, and obviously everything worked out perfectly. But last year, O-line was banged up. Hurts wasn't great, and we all know the offensive coordinator was a bonehead. So to me, fresh mind, new offensive coordinator who I'm a big fan of. I think Hurts is going to figure it out this year. Obviously, a lot of hype on Devonta Smith. I like Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to continue to, as the press gets more positive, move up a little bit. I don't think he's ever going to get to a point where he passes McCaffrey or Taylor or anything like that. But if you're picking at the end, I see no reason why you wouldn't take, if you could start off with a Genti, a Cook, and a Barkley, I think that's awesome.
Ian, I want to ask you, Team 9 took Brock Powers, obviously the Baby Gorilla. All FFPC contests are tight end premium. Let's say you're in Team 9's shoes. How much consideration would you have given to going Brock Bowers and Trey McBride as a 2 tight end start?
It's reasonable over here in these streets, so I get it. I mean, and honestly, when you asked me about 101 or anyone else, like the only other guy that I was wondering about was potentially Brock Bowers. Just, he could catch 100 passes and go for 1,500 yards and maybe F around and be offensive player of the year here. So McBride, though, that's just where I get a little bit off, man. I got him quite a bit lower for me. I got him honestly ranked to Colson Loveland in the ranks right now. Obviously a great talent, but as much as Michael Wilson was eating at the end of the year because every other wide receiver died, I mean, a little bit of that has the impact, Trey McBride as well. Obviously had Jacoby Brissett, out there slinging it. I think we're going to see Gardner Minshew and Carson Beck starting games. Just an awful offense. I get it. The Raiders are not exactly expecting them to be fantastic either, but he's competing with Trey Tucker and Jalen Naylor, and I do actually believe in the Raiders quarterbacks a little bit more. So I don't want to have zero Trey McBride, especially on tight end premium, but more times than not, so far in the draft side, that I've been happy to let someone else take him.
Jake, CeeDee Lamb, the latest he's fallen in a Baby Gorilla draft over the last 2 weeks. I personally find this to be an exceptional start for Team 6. I want to get your thoughts here. Are you agreeing? I mean, take Taylor, third running back off the board. We've kind of talked about our love for Taylor and then CeeDee falling. I mean, I missed something. Why are we seeing CeeDee Lamb fall in kind of this mid-second round range?
No idea how he fell to halfway through the second round. I mean, I personally have him over A.J. Brown and Jefferson. I still think, he should be taken at the latest, the 2-2. But, I mean, to start JT and Lamb, that's a very good start from Team 6.
Ian, you're rocking the Cowboys hat. What do you make of Lamb and Pickens this year? Obviously, Lamb was a disappointing year, to say the least, last year, despite the Cowboys' offensive explosion. Was banged up, had some unfortunate drops, but seems like Lamb, until this draft, has kind of been stable in that late first, early second range, and Pickens has kind of been the one falling off, at least in FFPC drafts. Where are you at on the Cowboys' offense, and then obviously specifically those 2 elite receivers?
I mean, they're 95% of the Bengals, but just in the NFC. Like, I don't think any of us should be surprised if the Cowboys end up leading, the entire league in scoring, just like the Bengals. So, Jamar Chase is better than CeeDee. I'm not saying he should be going up there or anything, but I just want Cowboys as a whole. I have moved CeeDee behind Jettas. I'm with Jake. I definitely would have taken him ahead of AJB, but I didn't think we got a Birds fan, drafting there at the turn. So something to keep in mind there. Pickens is the one where I look at him and I'm like, should we really be taking George Pickens, around before T. Higgins or whatever the actual, difference is? So Pickens is the one I haven't been able to quite get behind the same way. I've just been taking, Devontae Smith, even starting to creep up the Emeka Ibukas and Lab McConkeys of the world. I'm probably getting in over my skis there, but just Pickens, he's a great 1B, but he still is a 1B. I do think there's some very talented, 1As that are still out there that you can argue deserve to go ahead of him. So long story short, though, Cowboys offense is going to be really good. And at the end of the day, you should be thankful to have anyone on your squad.
Ian, to your point, people are drafting Pickens based off of his 2025 season where CeeDee Lamb didn't play 60% of the games. So I'm with you where I don't know why Pickens is going ahead of guys like T. Higgins, Devontae Smith. I'm big on Lad, so I agree with the Lad part. But to see him usually go, the 2-3 turn, I don't see it personally.
Yeah, like you look at their 12 full games together because we had CeeDee, he got the high ankle, I think it was.
Yeah.
Played 4 against the Bears, so that skewed. He got knocked out at halftime in a Lions game. He was about to go really bonkers in, so that sucks too. But 12 full games together, I mean, CeeDee had 116 targets, Pickens 99, so still average 15.9 PPR points per game in Pickens' case. CeeDee was at 16.6, so those still would have been top 12 numbers of the position. But again, it's just when we're drafting the top 3 rounds, man, like we're going for guys that ideally can finish as number 1 overall player at their position. Not saying these guys are going to be bad, but I do have some better bets I like making early.
I could arguably make the case that CD should be getting drafted closer to Amon-Ra in the middle of the first than where he went in this draft, but that's not here there. Terp, I want to ask you, another guy who falls to his latest spot in a Baby Gorilla draft is Devon Achane. I mean, part of that is we see AJ Brown get pushed up a bit. We see Kenneth Walker get pushed up a little bit, which results in someone's going to have to fall. It was CD. It was Devon Achane. You know, Achane obviously electric with the ball in his hands. The Dolphins got the ball in his hands a ton last year. He's proven to be a fantasy monster, especially when healthy. And really, he's kind of eliminated some of the maybe health concerns that we've had for him. But a new offense, new quarterback, completely devoid of weapons outside of him. Are you buying the dip on Achane this year, especially in a managed format like the Baby Gorilla?
I mean, you pretty much just made the case for people why they're going against him. I mean, is Malik Willis going to dump the ball off? Big question. You know, is the health a little bit of a question? The lack of weapons at all. Like there's nothing on the outside. Tight end, people can hype up Greg Dulcich as, you know, we all love to, but they have no receivers. They have 0 on the outside that you're really depending on. Jalen Tolbert's going to start. So when it comes to Achane, people just don't like clicking him this year. But you got to look at the other side. The other side's obviously we know the game-breaking ability. He's one of the guys that can easily finish up there in the Gibbs range with everything going perfect. Obviously, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not really buying the dip right now. I'll have some, but he's not a guy that I'm really targeting heavy. I'm more worried about the Willis. And, you know, if Achane doesn't catch all the balls that he's caught in the past, I just don't know if he's going to pay off where he's being drafted. I like the other guys around.
A question in the chat for you, Ian. Will Rashee Rice get pushed up even more before August into round 1 possibly? Round 1 seems a bit rich, but pushed up. I mean, when training camp starts and you see that Chiefs connection, I think it's possible he gets moved up, but I want to get
Here's the question with Rashee Rice, all right? Is it possible? Yes, anything's possible. But who's getting pushed down? Like, obviously, if somebody gets hurt, but let's just say nobody gets hurt. Who's getting pushed down? Derrick Henry? Yeah. Any of the other guys getting pushed down? I don't see
London.
I'm taking Drake London over Rice.
I'm taking Drake London.
I don't think first round, maybe like early, mid second. I'm not enthused about it, guys. Like, it's also just one of those things where he's everything that's been wrong with the Chiefs offense. He's also, as we can all tell at this point, not a very good person, hasn't been doing a lot of good things. So, like, I am so out in the Rashee Rice experience. Like, Mahomes, like that deep ball has been calling to him like the Green Goblin mask for the last 3 years. Don't you think if Rashee Rice could take the top off the defense, they might have tried it already? So, I've actually been drafting a ton of Xavier Worthy, not even because I think it's a wonderful, like he's a wonderful player, but I'm just more anti Rashee Rice. I do think maybe also Worthy not breaking his collarbone 3 plays in. Maybe we do see them give him some more of those underneath intermediate routes that mostly have been on the table for Rashee Rice. Andy Reid was even saying that a little bit earlier in the offseason. So, you know, at the same time, I say that, and the dude goes out there, he catches 8-9 balls a game, and he posts top 10 fantasy numbers. So I can see it happen, but man, we are one more knucklehead or just bad person decision away from God knows what happening with this dude. I'm going to try to let someone else take it.
Team 1 has no fear of anything, I'll tell you that. Taking Rice, taking Jacobs, they're just going for it all.
And I just want to Team 6. Look at Team 6 waiting for value to fall. Get CD at his lowest, Jeremiah Love at his lowest.
Is that really value, though? Obviously, it's value based off anything, but is Jeremiah Love?
I think Jeremiah Love in the middle of the 3rd, I'll take. But Jake, you were going to say something, please.
I just want to touch on the Achane pick real quick because I don't mind Achane, but all the running backs that went before him, I would take over him. But I was just looking something up real quick. And last year, Malik Willis threw 11% of his passes to running backs, which is not good. And Tua threw 22% to running backs. So, you know, Achane had 67 catches last year. What's his ceiling this year? 50, maybe? I mean, I'm a little bit worried about his passing upside this season.
Honestly, my biggest issue with Achane at this point, I agree with everything you guys have said about him. I feel like I've had the same wavelength. I feel like I see everyone fading Achane. Whenever we all get together and we decide to start fading someone, they go freaking nuts. So yeah, it's almost just like everything seems to go too perfect.
I'm not fading him, but ahead of him, I think have more upside. Like we haven't seen the best of Hampton, Kenneth Walker, like Genty.
I agree.
I don't think Achane has a chance to be RB1. right? I think that there's a legit chance that Genty and possibly Hampton could push for, top 3.
Jake, the only pushback I'll give, though, is Achane is going to be the de facto wide receiver 1 on that team. I think Willis is going to have to pass to him. While, Green Bay, I don't think you're looking at the best receiving back options.
I mean, listen, Achane is that whole offense. So if you're any defensive coordinator, it's like, how do we protect this guy? How do we, eliminate Achane from the game?
Yeah, but easier said than done. I think if his price continues to drop, RB11, I think is kind of you're baking in some of that risk.
Where you took him, I don't even have an issue if you push him up to the front half of the second round. I'm just, saying his upside has to be kind of limited based on his quarterback play and other stuff.
Ian, Turp kind of mentioned he's not a Jeremiah Love guy. Obviously, you mentioned it within our Trey McBride discussion, concerns about that offense. Jeremiah Love, RB14, 306 in this draft. He's been going late second round usually. So, again, there is about a half round of value there. But what do you make about the rookie 3rd overall pick, unreal year at Notre Dame, questions about him in the receiving game, obviously questions about the offense, but we usually see running backs who get picked that high in the NFL draft have successful first years in fantasy. What do you make of Jeremiah Love in Arizona?
I don't have really issues with his receiving game. Honestly, I think it was more so playing with Riley Leonard and CJ Carr, 2 guys that also move around. I mean, we did see, especially early on last year, like the A&M and Miami game, they even put him out in the slot a couple times, and he was smooth, man. Stabbed the one-hander, I think, against the Aggies at one point, too. Like, he can do it all, man. I got him. It's funny bragging about having Jeremiah Love on your dynasty team because obviously you had to not be very good to land him in the first place, but very excited about him on a squad or 2 in those streets. But, yeah, over here, I do think mid-round 3 is fine, man. It was a little bit earlier in the offseason, at least in best ball land. He was going much, much earlier, like vying for that top 10 spot in round 2. I couldn't get behind that, not because he's not great, but everything I said about McBride and this offense just very realistically sucking. And the potential for one of Algier, Connor, or Benson to just be annoying enough, man. Like that is the other part. As great as Jeremiah Love is, Bijan Robinson is pretty special, and we saw what Artie Smith did with, Algier over there as well. So wouldn't be the first time we've seen him somewhat ease into action, which makes sense if you're the Cardinals, and it makes sense for Jeremiah's long-term career. Doesn't make sense for a 2026 redraft squad, though.
Turp, Cam Scatterby just goes off the board there at the 401. By all accounts, healthy, obviously had a really great run last year, captivated the hearts of New Yorkers. John Harbaugh there now, an offense people think on the rise, albeit with an injured Malik Nabers, uncertainty there. What do you make of Scatterby? Are you comfortable taking him in this 4th round? Obviously, in this build for Team 12, he's their 3rd running back behind Saquon and Kyron, but off of a pretty catastrophic leg injury. What are your expectations for Scatterby in 2026?
I mean, I won't have much. I like Tracy later. I think he's just cheaper and still could get plenty of work. When it comes to Scatterby, I mean, obviously he's a fun story, great player, personality and all that cool stuff. But I just like the receivers that are getting drafted here way much more than Scatterby. There is 0% chance I would ever take him as my 3rd running back too. I don't know if that was planned or it looks like Kyron Williams might have been an auto pick. Not really sure what's going on there, but I don't love that structure. When it comes to building these teams, this is a great round to target the Lads, the McLaurins, guys like that. Pickens if he falls, things like that. I don't know. Cam Scatterby, I could get burned, but he's a guy I'm pretty much as close to fading this year. Like I said, I'll have some because I have pretty high volume when it comes to these. Mix them in every once in a while, but I just like Tracy at a cheaper price. I know Jim Harbaugh is hyping him up and saying all these things about him, but every coach does that. So to me, when it comes to Scatterby, I think I'm out.
Jake, I haven't gotten your thoughts on Scatterby. What are you feeling about the Giants running back?
I mean, I like the new offense with John Harbaugh. I think, they're going to pound the ball. They're going to run the ball a lot. It's just he worries me a little bit coming off that injury, but everything, like all signs are pointing up. All reports are good. So he's someone that I want to like, but something's holding me back. If he fell to later in the 4th, I would be more inclined to take him, but I feel like there's just something holding me back from clicking on him in the 3-4 turn.
I agree with that comment right there. Like, is it wrong to want to use top 4-round picks on players whose legs have been like together for the better part of the last 12 months? It's not that he's not going to play week 1. I get it, but we've seen this, man, from similar issues like Pacheco, Dak, Tony Pollard, Chris Godwin. Like, they've managed to get back out there. They just look like a shell of their former selves. So,
I group him in with like the running backs of, Quinshawn Judkins, Bashaw Tootin, Swift, Henderson,
Montgomery.
Montgomery. I borderline like all of them better than Scatterbo. I think they, in their all own like respective way, they have more upside than him. Where he goes, it's very tough because I'm not going to reach on him when I like those running backs and I can get them, half a round later.
I mean, Ian mentioned all the names, but Tony Pollard, I always think of the quote, his last year in Dallas, he didn't say until it was after the week 12 or 13 bye where he was like, I'm finally felt like myself.
Thanks for letting us know, bud. 12 weeks too late.
Yes.
My bank account still hasn't recovered from that.
On Pollard, real quick, he's still, what's his ADP? Probably like the 7th round around there right now?
Yeah, 7th, 8th. I can get it for you.
I don't understand why he is going so late. He's had 3 years of 1,000 yards, right? And I was reading something earlier. Last year to end the year, the last 3 weeks, he averaged 16.6 points per game. Dayball ranked 2nd in the league when he was the coach of the Giants in rushing attempts. So it's like, I just don't understand why he's been praising Pollard in OTAs as well. That offense we all think is going to be better O-line, better quarterback play. It's like, why does he go so late?
Because it's not a sexy pick. I mean, there's got to be some worry about Singleton. Spears is still there. I mean, Pollard, despite putting up the counting stats, I think his efficiency has declined each year in Tennessee. And it's also just Jake the unknown in the offense. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Brian Dable's coaching for his life. I like Nicholas Singleton, Penn State guy, cool story, whatever. There's no way he's going to be, I like, speculation picks in the 18th, 19th round, fine. But Tony Pollard's going to be the guy. Spears might get mixed in. I think there's a chance Spears gets traded.
Spears a dog.
He is a dog. But like Aiden, you think people are worried? But same thing with Cam Scatterbo, new offense. Why is Tony Pollard going 3 rounds later than Cam Scatterbo?
Dude, I can't believe Javonte Williams went at the end of round 4, man. Like, how's Jacobs going at that 2-3 turn? Javonte's there. Like, I understand having your questions last season, but he got paid. They added absolutely no one. People still want Jaden Blue to become a thing because us fantasy nerds have a sickness with always wanting rookies or the second-year guys to go ahead and make something happen. Again, all right, we're always like, oh, we want upside, and we always equate that to guys who can hit the big plays, and that's great. But you know what also is good for upside? Falling into the end zone 15 times from the 1-yard line because you're the Dallas Cowboys bell cow. So the fact he's going end around 4, man, that's crazy. I like David Montgomery enough, I guess, but to me, there's way more dead zone concerns with Demon because you have someone in Woody Marks who's been with the team and at least gotten some of the pass down work. Texans offensive line is a question, and the offense could just suck. Like for me, with Javonte, I don't get that because of how good the Cowboys offense should be.
Well, Vegas also came out with their lines, and they're obviously very sharp, and they have Javonte pretty high up with rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and I think the Cowboys have the 7th best strength schedule for running backs. So I don't know why he's going behind guys like Scatterbo, Montgomery.
I got him RB 12. I got him right after basically Henry and Achane.
Okay.
Honestly, I agree with that.
I like how you go. Vegas is pretty sharp. Yeah.
Well, I think when it comes to predicting, fantasy, they're good. It's another metric people can use when they're doing their rankings of how to
it's a great unbiased metric. I'm with Jake here. That's why I shout out some of those implied team scoring ranks because it's July. We're all hyped up. Every draft was awesome. Everyone improved, but it's we're talking about the Saints with that, and it's okay. How much really did they improve though? And you look at the Vegas scoring ranks, or you just say screw Vegas. Rank the teams 1 through 32 yourself. The Saints are still going to be closer to 32 than 1.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The first time I ever heard someone tell me oh, you need to be using Vegas to help you with fantasy was my 9th grade geometry teacher. Gambling wasn't even legal back then. And he was that was we were talking ball, and he was oh, here's how I do it. I go on.
Find that guy. Let's get that guy on here.
I don't even remember his name. That's bad. But yeah, I will say my last thought on Cam Scatterbo is I think someone put in the thing he's going to be thinking about contact bold of you to assume Cam Scatterbo has any thoughts in his head.
No care about content.
That dude there's nothing going on up there besides see ball, take ball, run with ball.
He's a dog.
I'm surprised ETN kind of went as early as he did too. Do people still think Kamara is like not going to be there? I feel like I guess they could trade him. I know he had the comment in October. He's like, I'd rather sip margaritas. I don't know. I feel like it was kind of a throwaway comment. Kamara seems to have every intention of playing. Again, don't exactly think the Saints are going to be a juggernaut. ETN was fine last year. I thought he had a really good start, but he fell off pretty bad at the end of last season. So Javonte, so some other guys. All right, I'm not just holding out against them, but I don't know. I watched a lot of the ETN receiving stuff. I thought was more Liam Cohen directed. I know he got a bag, but I'm a little worried about ETN.
I saw your tweet too today or yesterday where it was like, only 12 running backs have finished with 18 PPR points per game over the last 4 seasons. And it's like they're all running back 1, 2, 3, 4, all that. And then running back 55 was like Kamara's rank. So
he was RB5 in 2024. And I understand it was RB5 getting force fed on a bad team, but Alvin Kamara and Jerry Jeudy are like the two guys who were really useful in fantasy in 2024, and then they fell off last year, and everyone's like, we are completely done with them. So maybe they're right, but I don't know. I'll throw a late-round dart over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we follow the money, right, it's the last couple of years, even guys that – my friend Jake, obviously, Jake was all over him. I was not like DeAndre Swift, Josh Jacobs even. They were, these running backs are getting paid. Like, I don't know. And then, their teams are really using them. I do kind of feel my personal opinion is ETN maybe falls into that mix, even though there are some concerns as they're paying him for a reason.
We got scared away, I think, with some like the Le'Veon Bell contracts and stuff. But when you look recently, again, Henry, Saquon, Jacobs, like running back isn't like wide receiver. They don't really get traded ever. I mean, there's probably some examples out there, but I think if a running back leaves in free agency and goes to a good organization, like we got to recalibrate a little bit and be more willing to embrace that because, again, the hit rate's been getting better and better over the years.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know Turk has said many times on the show, even if it's just like this belief in the New Orleans offense and Kellen Moore and going out and getting their guy in ETN and hopefully enhancing maybe a Tyler Shucka, a Bo Nix, another leap in him. I do want to ask you kind of, we talked about Scatterbo, just in general, how much come September, depending on the reports we hear, but let's say it kind of keeps progressing the way it is, how far do you foresee Malik Nabers dropping? I mean, this was a guy who at one point, February, March, was maybe going in that second round, and now we're, just dropping. Where are you at on Nabers? How far do you see him dropping?
This feels about right. Maybe Higgins and Waddle I push ahead. I don't know if I could quite get there with Burden or some of the angst. I mean, Terry McLaurin went really early in this. That one's a little bit surprising to me. So it is a great day to be great. Let's go Index. But man, if we get the pup news, that's where it gets interesting. Like if we know for a fact he's going to be out for a month and then we got to worry about the ramp up coming after it. That's where it gets interesting. But I don't know about you guys. I feel like the recent, like there were some rough comments back in May, but I feel like recently it's trending okay. So it's not that they've guaranteed he's going to be out. They just want to take it slowly, which is exactly what they should be saying, exactly what they should be doing. So I think round 4 Nabers, man. On the other side, like could he fall to round 6 with the pup? Sure. But if we know he's ready to go in week 1, I mean, he could be right back up there in round 3 at least.
We as a fantasy community, we're analyzing celebrity softball game like running gate and basing that like that's genuinely contributed to like a round drop from Malik Nabers is us Twitter doctors being like, nope, that doesn't look good. Drop him. He's not going to be ready. He ran the first funny.
I think he's number 1 on the list of like early draft questions. Like if Malik Nabers is ready,
big to go swing player, huge swing player.
It's a big swing player, and if he's not, everybody that's going to go looking back at their drafts and go, wow, I didn't take T. Higgins or I didn't take a Buko or I didn't take Waddle, I took Nabers, and now he's out 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever.
Nabers, he's not a full fade for me, but I will probably never get him because I'm not drafting him over Higgins, Waddle, Burden, Evans, Watson, or Adams. So he's just never going to fall to where I would take him. I don't want a guy that's probably going to start on the pup, need the ramp up period. You probably won't see 100% Malik Nabers all year or until week 12. He's just not someone I want to draft in the 4th round.
It's a fun bet if you're, risk, and if you have a big portfolio of drafts, You got to mix them in somehow just to protect your numbers.
Read between the lines. Like the Giants just went outside OBJ, Juju, Mooney, a bunch of like they're probably
scrubs, but
preparing for
what an all-star group.
Maybe the Giants are just going to be awful.
Yeah. That also doesn't help Malik Nabers if they're awful. So that's the way you got to look at it from that perspective.
Hey, I'm sure the Matt Nagy, Brian Callahan, Greg Roman brain trust can figure it out, though, right?
Very worrisome.
When I found out Brian Callahan was there, I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Like, I remember putting together these
bring Arthur Smith in there and just literally
pre-snap motion, play action, like trying to the easy buttons that we see the smart coaches put together, and like every single chart, it would always be the Bengals and Titans right next to each other in the worst part of the graph. Shout out to the Zach Taylor coaching tree.
Dude, I can't help but think like Ravens fans right now are like, look what's going on over there. You know, what we got cooking. Jake, I wanted to ask you a name you mentioned, tying it back into that Scadaboo discussion. Obviously, coming off a major injury, we'll see how ready they are, but almost 2 rounds of difference, really a round and a half. But like, I'd much rather at their price points in this draft take a leap on Quinshon Judkins from what he showed than Cam Scadaboo. I know the injury occurred later, but I mean, you're getting that almost 2-round discount in a lot of drafts on Judkins. Offenses both kind of have concerns, as we've kind of said. I just want your thoughts on another young running back, second-year running back coming off a major injury, but at a cheaper price point in Judkins.
Right. I have Scadaboo and Judkins in the same tier of running backs. So at that point, I'm just taking who goes later. And Judkins, I didn't see much film of Scadaboo this OTAs, but I saw a good amount of Judkins, and he looked good. Like, I can tell you, he looked good, and he could play a game right now. So, and I also think I like the Browns offense more than the Giants. I think, their O-line might be a little bit better. I like the coaching staff a little bit better. So it's just one of those things where I cannot take Scadaboo a round and a half ahead of Judkins when I have them in the same tier. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
Terp, we've talked a lot about quarterbacks on this show. Question from Scott Kobe is May in round 6 or 7 something that you can get behind?
Yes. I mean, honestly, me personally, no, unless I have A.J. Brown. The reason I say that is because there's so much value at quarterback this year. I mean, you're looking at some of these guys who are going, the Jalen Hurts, the Trevor Lawrence's, Brock Purdy's. I can keep going through the list of guys who are being Jaden Daniels being drafted that late, 4 or 5 rounds later. It's just really hard for me to click the Drake May button. And same thing with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Like, if you're drafting one team, you're probably not drafting Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. It just doesn't make sense for the roster construction. And I'm not saying they're bad picks. I'm not saying they're not going to pay off. I'm not saying they can't be the number 1 and 2 quarterback this year. But what you're passing up to take them is really, really hard to stomach. When you're taking Josh Allen, you're passing all the guys we've just talked about. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. Like, realistically, Lamar Jackson might have fell to that guy in the 6th. He could have probably gambled a little bit, and he might have fell. Taking him in the 5th, I get the stacking for life. We all know that's my mentality. But it's a little early to take Lamar Jackson when you have these guys who are going later.
No running backs on that team 4 too.
That team could have easily waited a little bit and got Joe Burrow, waited a little bit and got Caleb Williams, and still did the whole stacking thing. So I'm not saying that they're bad picks, but I don't think I'll have that much Allen, Jackson, they're usually the top 3 guys. And that's not any hate on any of those guys, but I'm just waiting on QBs this year and taking 2 and then just seeing what happens.
I'm team let's find the next Drake May 8 rounds later.
Hell yeah. I like the Boomer Sooner late round QB strategy. Reunite Kyler and Baker.
There's so many quarterbacks you can wait even later on. If you're like you said, Baker, Jordan Love,
Purdy,
all those guys. Like
Trevor Lawrence was QB1 for fun. He's still going in like the
Trevor Lawrence be drafted up with these other guys.
Purdy goes too late.
Trevor Lawrence is a 10th round draft pick. Like, but there's just so Jalen Hurts has been basically the 10th round.
Man, even Kyler and like Malik Willis, like these are normally the guys that we know are going to run that much. And I'm taking those guys over Malik. I get it, but usually those guys, like last year, Justin Fields was usually being drafted among the top 12 guys. All right, we knew the team sucked. We were like, oh, he's a rushing quarterback. Like this is actually one of the first years in recent memory we've been able to get the potential, Konami code sort of options. Shout out Rich Rebar that late in drafts. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Baker QB 19 in the 15th round, Kyler QB 16 in the 13th.
You look at last year, some of the teams that made deep runs in the Gorilla, the main event, and all that stuff. Some of them had Jared Goff as their quarterback, who had a big end. Trevor Lawrence. Look at some of these guys who had big numbers at the end of the year. Josh Allen had the numbers, but we all know when we get to these sprints, you got to have a couple different guys that could hit it. And we've
all been in these drafts where those guys go in round like 14, 15, and you're like, oh man, that's
a good
call. Wait, let's be those guys this year.
Yeah. Every year we find these guys. It's a question of like, it's all about value. It's all about, building the structure and obviously you're going to take some Josh Allen. I'm not telling you not to do that. You're obviously going to take some Lamar Jackson. Definitely not telling you to do that either. But you're going to run into some traps when you do this because you're going to be weak and you're going to be behind the 8 ball at other positions, especially now when there's not a lot of news.
Aiden, correct me if I'm wrong, but have we talked about the Minnesota offense yet on any of these streams? Like kind of like dove into it a little bit?
When we talk about the Minnesota offense, Jake, all we talk about is DeMond Claiborne. We're like the biggest DeMond Claiborne podcast.
That's it. Is no one else worried about like Jefferson? But I do not think Kyler's good. And I think for fantasy, he can run the ball, but he's having trouble picking up the offense right now. And I know he has a couple months, but like Jefferson going where he's going, is no one worried that he could bust again? Because personally, like I have AJ Brown and London over Jefferson because I'm worried that he's going to bust again, and I don't want to have to deal with what we dealt with last year.
Ian, I'll let you. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts because you seem to be clearly with your Boomer Sooner.
I mean,
Tyler, you must be a fan.
Well, the dude's got the same amount of – this was a fun stat I found the other day. Even only starting 5 games last year. These last 2 seasons, Kyler has the same number of top 5 finishes as T-Law, Justin Herbert, and Dak. That's what that rushing drug gives to us, guys. So I hear, Jake, though, last year, that was the worst we've seen of Kyler as a passer, okay? I'm not saying he's get back to 2021 heights, but wasn't a great environment. I know Jacoby looked better, but going into KOC with Jettas, with Addison, can we not rise up someone that's so freaking talented like Kyler Murray? So I hear where he's coming from. Drake London doesn't exactly have the best quarterback room ever, but Penix throws him 20 targets a game. So a little bit different. I see the AJB bounce back alert, just another year older. They do have a little bit of target competition there. I still think in my heart of hearts, Justin Jefferson is a top 2 wide receiver talent in the NFL. He only caught 2 of 16 end zone targets last season. I just don't want to overthink it too much. But you know what? He sucked last year, so maybe I should overthink it.
I mean, I so want for Kyler to be in the Baker, Sam Darnold, like kind of reclamation project, and he gets a elite offensive mind.
Yeah.
But I think that's obviously the story you tell yourself also with Jefferson. I mean, I think, Jake, also what was tough for last year was for year. Oh, wow.
Ooh. Let's get weird. Team 1.
Jeez. I don't even need to continue finishing my Justin Jefferson thought was just essentially last year was the first year. Oh, my Lord. 4 and a 5 pick stretch. Jeez.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate team 1.
I don't do it, but I don't hate it. Think about it. The receivers that were getting drafted in the 7th, 8th round are no longer getting drafted in the 7th, 8th round. So, like, you got to look at like the overall structure and who's available and what the best case scenarios are. Quentin Johnson, Parker Washington, Brian Thomas, guys like that who were Parker Washington, Jordan Tyson, guys like that were around later. Now they're not. So who are in the 7th, 8th rounds are you really excited about? Take a quarterback? I mean, Travis Kelce, I don't think it's a terrible pick. He's married now. Heard it was a beautiful wedding. Things are good. Last year, he goes out with, on top.
He's
Kyle
married
Fanning.
now.
Like Kyle Pitts, I don't like that pick at all. But I'm just saying, like, in these drafts, again, this is not something I ever do, but you got to look at all these guys who are getting drafted after. Like, is he going to take Joe Burrow? No, probably not. Doesn't make sense for the structure. Gainwell, not really. You're kind of betting on Gibbs and Jacobs. I mean, what receivers here really, really excite you that you couldn't just push it and get 2 receivers later? Again, I'm not sitting here, I don't like the structure of the team, but it's something different.
I would have been more okay with Laporta over Kelsey.
I agree. I like Laporta probably over both of them, but I probably would have never took Kyle Pitts. But
the receiver point is fair, though. I mean, I would say you got Reed, Addison, Parasol, Cortland Sutton, but Cortland Sutton's like one of the most boring guys.
You literally named 4 guys, and they all have their benefits, but
no, that's what I'm saying though. I don't over Laporta especially. I get just taking the tight end there. So
I just actually
make a case that Bannon and Kelsey are both the number 1 targets on their team. I didn't say I'm making that case, but you could make
Travis Kelsey was tight end 4 in the FFPC,
which is insane.
And he was a corpse last year. Like, it's not like, oh, the drop off's coming. The drop off already happened, and he was tight end 4 just because he churns through.
We're probably going to talk about this even more, but George Kittle would have been a good pick for that because the upside is immense. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm going to sit here and say I don't draft much George Kittle this year. I know he's a freak. I know all this stuff.
Especially as your first tight end.
As my first tight end. But in a build like that, let's just say he's healthy and things, do turn out better than 95% of everybody saying. In the 7th round, the upside potential makes probably more sense than Kelsey. He's probably going to be a little bit more.
Kelsey actually, though, if you look at his yak over the last 6 years, it was all going down. And actually, he looked more spry last season than he had for a minute. I'm guessing that's kind of why he decided to come back. The problem was he had 3 separate drops that immediately turned to interceptions. So that's why everyone has that bad, taste in their mouth. That's only happened.
He got married
twice.
Hey, he got married though, so all is good.
That's only happened twice in the last 6 years. The other one was Tyreek. I'm done.
I don't mind Kelsey, but if they have a healthy Rice and a healthy Worthy, I just, I don't see them throwing him as many targets as he's, used to getting. But Laporta, though, I'm starting to really get into Laporta. I mean, the back thing worries me a little bit, but if we look past that, Petzig just came over from the Cardinals, and he obviously funneled the ball to McBride. He loves to throw the ball over the middle of the field. So I think Laporta's in for, he can stay healthy, a huge bounce back here. I have him as my tight end 6. So I'm definitely high on him.
Petzig concerns me. I was reading today that The Athletic posted an article and essentially that Petzig's hire was he makes complex schemes, simplifies them, which is great in theory. But I mean, I know Arizona is a wasteland, but I just was not the most exciting hire.
He had the run game grooving, and I will say, smarter minds than myself with real life football, like Nate Tyson, Ben Solak, they're pretty big fans of some of the drop back principles that he brings that Jacoby was doing and stuff like that. So I hear you, but there's so much talent on Detroit. Last year was a down year. The offensive line, took a step back, and they still finish in scoring 5th or 6th.
Yeah, it was. And J-Mo took the leap while Amon-Ra and Gibbs stayed stable. I mean, Laporta's really was the only one last year who, had a downturn relative to.
He was doing good before he got injured. I mean,
yeah, but no, I mean, all in all, I think Jake, you said it. I would have much rather had Laporta than Kelsey, even with Kelsey's finish, especially
just for the upside. Kelsey might be a safer play, but just if we're going upside, I think Laporta. I mean, he's been the tight end one before. And new offense. I'm not that big on Jameson either. I really don't even want him in redraft because he can legitimately put up zeros like he did last year. I'd rather just keep him as a best ball player and not have to put him in my lineup every week.
Ian, I want to talk to you. Interesting commentary on the site formerly known as Twitter. Jeff Mueller had a kind of a in-depth post about Jonathan Brooks. Someone in the comments was kind of talking about his meteoric rise. It continues. He's now running back 30, 7th round. And it was interesting.
Where's Cuba?
Yeah, it's the basically the general gist of the tweet was that it's not like a typical ACL surgery, let alone a typical second ACL surgery. It should not be as concerning for drafters that the Brooks explosion is real. He's had almost 21 months since that surgery. And it's got to feel good, assuaging some concerns that drafters may have, about his injury risk, about coming off of the surgery, that, maybe all that hype that we've been hearing early on is justified. Where are you at with Jonathan Brooks? Do you think he can deliver that immense potential that he had coming out of Texas this year? Finally healthy, hopefully.
I'm thinking my whole Jonathan Brooks is a good sleeper thing is just not even going to work now because he's going to go round 7 already. So he's still only 22 years old. It sounds like they took the entire very cautious approach, letting him sit out all of last season, obviously. And yeah, again, fantastic Twitter follower. If you guys don't follow him, go get it. Jeff Mueller at JM3PT. Again, actual, doctorate in physical therapy, I believe. I'm not viewing this as a typical player at 2 ACL tears. He's cooked. Rather, I'm viewing it as the first procedure failed, but the second procedure is significantly stronger and should allow him to return to form this time around. So that's exactly what we want to be hearing with it. It's a backfield where obviously last year we saw them be willing to let Rico Dowdle snatch Chuba Hubbard's chain. So there's a couple running backs here in this range where we're starting to get into the RB2s where it's Jonathan Brooks, I'd say Rico Dowdle. I think they have a chance to be the 1As in those backfield because it's uncertain enough. That's why Rashad White's starting to get some steam as well. So I do think we're seeing, one of these sharper, high price, draft rooms kind of come to terms with that where we aren't seeing the Cal Manung guys and the Blake Corums of the world who, they're an injury away from shooting up the ranks, but they don't have that same, best case upside of just taking over by week 4.
Also, the Panthers have the 32nd ranked strength of schedule. So I don't see Chuba Hubbard, and he was last in explosive runs in 2025. He literally sucks. And Brooks, obviously
he had the calf, but it wasn't great. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see. I think that it's going to be Brooks' backfield sooner rather than later. And also, I think Canales. I read somewhere that he passed the offensive coordinator down to Isaac. I don't know much about him, but
he was there. He was there. He's been with Canales for a while. He helped Canales, I'm pretty sure. Prep for job interviews, and I think he was.
Panthers got the most
coordinator last year.
They got the most expensive offensive line in the league too. Bryce Young barely gets 3,000 yards passing. This should be one of the most run-heavy teams in football.
And they invested in a first-round pick in Monroe Freeling. So
the thing about Jonathan Brooks is he's going to get more expensive. Where he started getting drafted to where he's getting drafted now, to where he could let's just say the hype continues. Everybody loves Jonathan Brooks, like Ian said. Everybody's on him. Everybody's saying he's going to be the guy this year. He's going to be the perfect RB2 in a hero RB build. We all know how sometimes groupthink gets in trouble. And I'm on Jonathan Brooks too. I'm not sitting here saying I'm not. But Hubbard's not going anywhere. Bryce Young is no, gunslinger. So, I don't
exact opposite.
Brooks is going to get worked in slowly to start the season. Could he emerge and take that job? Yeah, but unless Hubbard gets hurt, he's not just going to fall off the face of the earth. So,
to that point, I think it's crazy when people take Brooks as their RB2 because you could legit start the first 5-6 weeks off with less than 10 points at your RB2. I love him as an RB3, but if you're really going to rely on him as your RB2, it's not.
You could be in trouble early in the season. He's you have to take somebody who's a little bit more if you're doing Brooks. I actually like with this draft, not really because he has Swift too, but let's just say he didn't have Swift. Monange makes a lot more sense for a Jonathan Brooks team because Monange is going to have a guaranteed value early on in the season. He could take that job from Swift. I would never in a million years spend 2 top 8 picks on running backs on the same team. That makes no sense whatsoever in a redraft.
One of them isn't going to work out.
One of them is not going to work out, and you're wasting. When you look back at it, which psychos like myself do, when you look back at drafts and where you did stuff wrong and where you made mistakes, you just look at 2 guys to the left or 2 guys to the right, what could be and what could have been. It'll really play mind games with you. Don't do that. Don't take 2 guys in the top 8 rounds on the same team. I don't care. Pick one and bet on them. If you're taking Kyron Williams, bet on Kyron Williams. If you're taking Blake Corum, bet on Blake Corum. There's no purpose to ever take both of them.
I'm imagining you took right before bed looking at your old draft boards, 2014.
I have a day after the season where I go through the good and the bad. I don't really look at that much because what's that going to change? But the good ones that might have had a terrible pick in there, or somebody got hurt early. And let me tell you, some sleepless nights. We'll just say that.
Ian, you mentioned Rico Dowdle as a possible like 1A like upside. Pretty surprising. He normally goes in the back end of the 7th round, drops almost around in this one behind guys like Ramondre Stevenson, Chuba Hubbard, Monungai, Blake Corum that you mentioned. Talk to me about Dowdle versus Jalen Warren, especially at their respective price points. Rico Dowdle, 8-11 in this draft, normally goes at the 7-12. Jalen Warren at the 6th round, 609, RB28. He normally goes in got drafted right where he usually goes in that 6th round. So even with Dowdle falling, there's still almost a round and a half of separation there. Where are you at in the Steelers backfield?
I have them ranked right next to each other, which is, I think, kind of like the fantasy ranker way of saying, like, I don't know how this is going to break. You know, Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson next to each other in a lot of ranks as well. And just look, I've loved Jalen Warren. You guys, all of us fantasy nerds love Jalen Warren. I hope Mike McCarthy likes Jalen Warren. I know he loves Rico Dowdle, though, and we've seen coaches do this all the time, man. They bring back their old friends. And Rico's credit, dude, back-to-back seasons, I think north of 1,300 total yards. Like he did it in Dallas, he did it in Carolina. Now he goes to a Steelers offense where old man Rodgers, dude, 2nd most targets to RBs last year because, yeah, Kenneth Gainwell was good, but also, yeah, he gets the snap now, and the second, he just senses any defender within, a 5-foot area of him, he's just dumping the ball and trying to live to play another day because he's 42 years old. So same thing with late career Drew Brees, man. Like Brees was a gunslinger back in the day, not when he's 40 years old. So I want either one of these guys. I think they're 1A, 1B. I think it should be a lot closer to where they are right now. And with either guy, if one gets injured, the other one's going to be instantly vaulting up the ranks. So last fun fact, both guys, including playoffs, have played 33 games over these last 2 seasons. Jalen Warren only has 5 more PPR points from receiving. All right. So that's the other part. Like we just are assuming Jalen Warren is going to be the receiving back, and he could be, but I don't know, man. Rico's not exactly a 0 in that part of his game either. So for me, 2-round difference between them, far too big for me.
Last year on the Panthers, when I was watching the preseason, that's where I like to get majority of my information. They had Dowdle playing as a 3rd down back. Every 3rd down is in, like he's no slouch in the back and on 3rd down in pass protection, but also to index suspicion, he said in the comment section, Warren always has a guy in front of him. He had, Warren has, how good really is Jalen Warren, right? They had Najee, they had Gainwell, now they have Dowdle. Like, how do they not trust him?
I think some of that is also, can he withstand I don't think he can withstand a full workload with his build. So that's part of it. Index of suspicion also said I'm tripping balls. Aaron Rodgers in the chat was another thing.
Jake's right, though. We saw it with Najee, then we saw it with Gainwell. Like, Jalen Warren just hasn't quite been able to take that extra step. I've seen all the advanced stat guys. They're awesome. With running backs, I'm just not so sure I can get behind them the same way. I made this mistake with the Buccaneers a couple years ago. I was like, every single stat tells me Ronald Jones was better than Leonard Fournette last year. Why wouldn't Rojo get the job? Well, because a certain guy named Tom Brady, preferred to play with Lenny Fournette. So live and we try to learn through the mistakes. Again, Dowdle, where he's going right now is great because I think he's that perfect flex with benefits option. And just like Jonathan Brooks, who's going over around earlier, there actually is a potential where he takes over.
Yeah. Ronald Jones. I love on these shows when people give me just random names. That one's not even that old, but
that's a good name. Good poll.
That makes me feel old because that was 4 or 5 years ago. Jake, you talked about TreVeyon Henderson. We talked about TreVeyon Henderson and our kind of concerns, but also the upside there. We haven't talked as much about Ramondre Stevenson, which is in theory the downside when we talk about TreVeyon Henderson. Resident Pats fan, I'm going to go to you. Historically, just in New England for 20 plus years, we're running back by committee. It always ends up being Ramondre. People left him buried for dead last year. Had some really good moments. Frustrated TreVeyon Henderson owners. Where are you at on Ramondre Stevenson? What is his role going to be in New England next to TreVeyon Henderson?
He is just going to screw TreVeyon Henderson all year. Like we saw what TreVeyon Henderson did when Stevenson was out, and the dude is so explosive. But with Stevenson there, they paid him. They always do the running back by committee. I don't really want, he's just an ugly pick. There's no upside there. Even if Steve Henderson went down, I don't even know what Stevenson's upside really is. But I think everyone's just hoping and praying he gets hurt or fumbles his way out of the starting lineup, because if TreVeyon, he's like borderline top 10 if Stevenson's not playing. But, where he gets drafted, I mean, if he's the best guy available, I'll take him. Like where he went in this draft, I mean, I would have easily went Dowdle and Dobbins over him, but he has to fall from. He doesn't fall far enough for me to even really look at him. He's not a sexy pick. He has no upside. It's just everyone hates him. No one wants to see him.
Tell us how you really feel.
I mean, I'm a Pats. You saw what Henderson did last year. He was averaging like 28 points per game.
I hear you.
It's just let the guy cook. Let Henderson play. He's literally like a mini junior kid. Just let him play.
Bro, I'm living, born, raised in Columbus, bro. I'm here right now, so I hear you with the Travion propaganda. The problem was he just kind of was blowing it early in pass pro, which was like the most shocking thing ever, because that was supposed to be, one of his strengths coming out of Ohio State. So I have kind of moved a little bit this offseason because the playoff splits were so damning. But once I looked into it a little bit more, 14 regular season games together, Ramondre only outtouched Travion 162 to 158, which was way closer than I remembered after, again, he took the chain there in the playoffs. So I'm with Jake, though. I just think like the best case scenario for Travion is like, oh my God, he's RB6 overall by the end of the season. For Ramondre, I just have a little tougher time getting there. He was great last season. I'm not trying to take it away from Ramondre, but it is his last, year on the deal. I think they want Travion to be that explosive pass catcher. Maybe we'll actually catch one of those wheels we hear about in every practice in the game one of these days. So I think Travion, man, potential nice little post-hype bounce back. I really like Travion and Tootin going at that round 5-6 turn.
I love Tootin. But I mean, Henderson, it's good because, I mean, at least you're getting a 2-round discount from where you were getting him last year. So I had no problem making that click, but, we want to see him play 80% of the snaps.
I do think there's that kind of tier in starting that 7th round. Jake, you mentioned they went a little earlier in this draft, but the Tony Pollards, Rashad Whites, Ramondre Stevensons, J.K. Dobbins. There's a lot of guys who you're not going to get praised for the pick. It's not sexy. But they're going to be the guys who get you to the championship sprint for $100,000 in the Baby Gorilla, $1 million in the main event, $1 million in the Big Gorilla, because, they churn out productive weeks for you. And they're not maybe as explosive, but while some people are trying to shoot for that crazy upside, those rookie dreams, every fantasy nerd's like best case scenario, sometimes the best case scenario is to just simply pick the guy who's like, yep, it's just going to produce, even though the name value is not there.
I guess on that team, because they didn't even draft, that's a 0 RB team, right? Like Warren was their first running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get going Ramondre on that build a little bit more. I do wonder, maybe it's, I know in redraft naturally people, they're going to draft running backs earlier on redraft too, but the way the best ball streets are going, I'm, sorry to keep bringing it up. I do need to fully get my mind out of best ball, but people are finally just going hard in the paint with the running back early. And it seems like they're giving up on 0 RB. And I just wonder, a couple years in a row now, 0 RB hasn't been the best strategy. Maybe it, does an Undertaker meme and comes back from the dead this year.
I mean, I share it every year on the show that fantasy is very cyclical, right? Like we had the 0 RB and then running backs have been performing. Part of that is because so many defenses had to try and combat this speed and get smaller. And then, all right, now offenses are shifting back to ground and pound because, these linebackers are so small. They're not stacking the box, 3 tight end sets. Fantasy kind of follows that in a way, even if it takes a year or two to catch up. But, in a couple, even just 2 years ago, we were seeing 4 or 5, even 6 quarterbacks going in the first 4 rounds, 5 rounds of drafts. And now people are waiting and, that's going to change. There's going to be some years where quarterbacks are getting pushed up. There's going to be some years where, running backs are dropping again. It's going to go in waves. But
Jaden Reed, Josh Downs is late in round 9. I love it.
Ian, can I ask you about the Colts offense? Obviously, Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones coming off the Achilles is a question mark. But, when he was healthy, that offense was clicking. We saw what Jonathan Taylor could do. He seems locked in as a first-round pick. But what do you make? Michael Pittman's gone. Alec Pearson, Josh Downs are the 1-2 there. And Tyler Ward, what are you making of their passing game? Are we concerned with Daniel Jones? Are we buying it? Alec Pearson was banged up already. What are your thoughts on the Colts passing game?
Yeah, the Alec Pierce ankle injury, man. Sounds like that could potentially be an issue going into training camp. So we'll see if it leaks in the regular season. Not ideal though. And there's ever a team that should give someone like Stephon Diggs or Keenan Allen a call, I mean, are we really going to trot out Nick Westbrook Akini as a starting wide receiver? 2024 was amazing. Dude scored like 9 touchdowns. People forget. But the big thing with Daniel Jones, though, guys, I know Rodgers and Cousins kind of got back from it eventually, but I will point out that Jones tore his right Achilles, and I'm not a doctor, contrary to popular belief, but that is like your push foot. That's your power foot when you're throwing as a right-handed quarterback. And Kirk Cousins, man, like he literally was playing like in pistol his first game because he still couldn't move well enough. Like, we don't hear about this shit until it's actually week 1, and then we're seeing it with our own eyes sometimes. So I think Daniel Jones, now he's going like QB 27, so it is what it is. You know, if you want to throw a later on dart, the guy, go ahead. But I definitely think this Colts offense could be a shell of what we saw during that first half of the year. Because if Jones can't push the ball downfield, your number 1 field stretcher is also at least a little bit hobbled from the ankle. Tyler Warren and Josh Downs should be getting fed targets, should be okay enough in PPR, and you got Jonathan Taylor. But, man, I just worry about this offense giving defenses no reason not to stack the box.
Ian, I'm 100% on board with everything you just said. I mean, Pierce is a full fade for me right now. People were picking him up off the waivers last year. I mean, he had, 45 catches. I know they paid him a bag, but you're going to draft someone who maybe could start on the pup who's already injured. Right now is when he should be working on that chemistry with Daniel Jones. And I couldn't agree with you more. That tearing that right Achilles, that's going to limit the downfield passing, whether people want to see it or not. So I'm all in on Josh Downs playing the slot over the middle with the Pittman vacated targets. I have Warren as like my not even dark horse. I mean, there's a legit chance he could finish as a tight end 1.
Yeah.
But Pierce is just, I want nothing to do with him this year. And no, please do not sign Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen. That would just
stay away.
That would piss me off.
My follow-up to that is everything you say I agree with. And I'm very worried about the Colts team overall, everybody. And that includes somebody that I know is not going to be popular to say on this thing is Tyler Warren. I know they're going to get fed a ton of targets, and I get all that. But if Daniel Jones isn't anything he was before the injury, what does that do to Jonathan Taylor? I mean, to me, I'm not going to say they're going to stack the box. I'm not taking Genty. I'm taking Cook. I'm taking Barkley. All those guys over Taylor. And, you know, I get it. He's the guy. They got nobody behind him and all that stuff. But offensive line is okay, good, elite, if you want to say.
I mean, they do have the 5th easiest strength of schedule. I don't like to look into that a lot, but you know,
Daniel Jones is Kirk Cousins, exactly what Ian said. Like, Jonathan Taylor.
The thing with JT, because I've heard some people say, like, you know, why take JT when you can get Derrick Henry a couple rounds later? In a few years, that would be right. He got 46 passes last year, man. They just stopped taking him off the field.
There's one answer to that question. Why would you take JT over Henry? It's because JT catches passes and Henry doesn't. Henry had 15 catches last year.
And JT had 18 in 2024. So, like, at one point, that kind of was the issue for him. But Nyheim Hines isn't walking through that door. Like, they leave JT on the field more than pretty much anyone. So, honestly, like, again, the same stuff we're talking about with Warren and Downs, like a hobbled Daniel Jones, no arm strength, just getting the ball out fast. It could lead to more of the same for Taylor as well. But I do agree. Like, I love doing the show every year where it's like, fades that terrify us, and like Jonathan Taylor is on that list for me. So is Patrick Mahomes, man. Like, those two guys, I just know how freaking good they are. Like, it's round 11, and the best quarterback not named Tom Brady of the past decade is there. I know why he's not going, but like, this is the cheapest chance we've ever had to get Mr. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel though the last couple of years we've said that, and then it's been the reason. It's like, you know, this is the year to buy low on Patrick Mahomes. And It's just like the Andy Reid offense has just kind of grown so stale.
That would be a spot for Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, but that's been rumored.
He's exactly what they need.
It's been rumored. I would love them to figure out how to use Worthy. I mean, maybe some of it is Xavier Worthy is just not great at football.
Jake, you're the Patriots guy. Can someone trade for Kayshon Boutte? Free my man. That dude's a stud.
I know. Trust me, I agree. It's someone that just, you know, like, what teams need like a deep threat right now? You know, like
Raiders
need everything.
But
Trey Tucker disrespect.
I mean, disrespect on Trey Tucker or Jalen Naylor, two of my highest owned guys.
Boutte he has to go because I mean, they still have Pop Douglas. I think that Kyle Williams can be good, but he is so explosive with the ball in his hands, but they need to manufacture him touches. But if Booty's there, he's going to start. I mean, he was good last year. It's just I would love to see him get traded somewhere where he would be in a better spot. But
Ian, back to Diggs. Do you push? Let's say that you're doing an early draft right after July 4th in the Baby Gorilla. I know everyone who wants to play Ian will be in the Baby Gorilla, Big Gorilla streets. But you're doing an early draft. Are you pushing Diggs up, just trying to take a lottery ticket on that he signs with a team like the Chiefs?
This would start to be about the range. I'd probably still take Travis Hunter at this spot as another kind of quasi lottery ticket. But round 11, round 12 feels about right.
1201 is his ADP in the Baby.
Okay, that's cool. So I'm not too far off. So look at this board, guys. If Diggs signed with the Chiefs tomorrow, I think he goes before Wandale.
I was going to say Wandale's where I could see him going before Pierce, Pittman, and Sutton also.
I think you could make the case starting after Godwin.
If he goes to Washington, that's another good spot.
I mean, I want him over Alec Pierce.
Yeah. I mean, Godwin should have gone earlier, and maybe that's part for me at least. I think Godwin should have gone, but every receiver taken in round 7, I would take a Chief Stephon Diggs.
I mean, when it comes to
Godwin down right behind QJ over Sutton, Pittman, Pierce. I mean, I would push them.
That Sutton, Pittman, Pierce 7th round is disgusting. I'm just going to call it as it is.
Gross. But we all know one of those guys is going to be fantasy worthy. Every year, we always talk about this range where it's barf. Nobody wants to click any of those 3 names, but one of them they're going to have a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 year, and we're going to be sitting here going, we're a bunch of idiots.
Probably Pittman, if I had to guess.
I think Index is right. Let's get Booty to Washington.
Yeah, perfect. Deep threat, better than Diami Brown. Get him over there.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, Ian, I think the coolest possible thing I've seen in this chat for a guest is Ian is the chopper guy. I would love nothing more than to be known as the chopper guy. That is,
until people look up the hit rate on it, man. You gotta remember that part with it. But now, one thing I'm going to do this year, I think, because the only thing that would piss me off, man, I'm wrong all the time. I get it. But I remember saying Garrett Wilson was going to go for 100. It's always been 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's always just been the thing, which put that in
a lot of money on those predictions. I'll just say that.
I appreciate you, but put in a parlay calculator. It's not great odds. So just. Again, to rant for 1 second, I say Garrett Wilson got a big game, and he's the wide receiver 2 on the week because he finds his way at 26 PPR points, but only 1 touchdown, didn't clear 100 yards, and then everyone's like, "Oh, good call, idiot," and I'm like, "All right now." So I think I'm just going to say he's gonna have a real good Sunday and keep it going. Maybe not be
keep
quite
going exactly.
The chopper is truly one of my favorite traditions in the fantasy football season.
I appreciate you. I care too much. I'll just be tilting at 3 p.m. on Sunday. I'm like, why the hell do I even care about this? But we're humans, got anxieties and all that. But I appreciate the support either way, everyone.
No, I mean, let's be real. Fantasy football community getting their hands on Twitter is sometimes a recipe for disaster.
In the middle of the Sunday too, we're all losing money. We're all watching our guys underperform. So I get it. This is crazy though. First kicker, and then also we're still getting Dak and Purdy in round 11. That's what I'm talking
about. We just talked about it earlier. It's hard to click on Allen, Jackson, etc. It's just I'm not saying they're bad picks, but Dak, Purdy, Lawrence,
our guy Mo Jenkins, who me and Terp, shout out Mo, have won money off of him for his poor Cowboys takes. But
he's going to have another one here this year.
He's our guy, but he said it's a good one. Looking at that, I was Dak Prescott over 27.5 touchdowns. I'm all in on that Cowboys offense. Just
the only way he doesn't get that is if he gets injured. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, is it what we're at an odd year though for
Dak
Prescott?
No, it's even year Dak.
Even year Dak. Yeah, concerning. Let's be real. Who's on the Madden cover this year? Who's on the Madden cover this year? Caleb Williams, another concern. Don't love that. Don't love that for my late round. Yeah.
Is that the
shout out Team 9 taking Justin Herbert QB5. I wish I don't know. I'm drinking some Weller right now. If I get another 1 or 2 of these in me, maybe I'll move him up that high. But I love me some Justin Herbert. I got him QB7. Respect to Team 9.
So you love Justin Herbert. Obviously, you love Vlad. What do you think of Quentin Johnson?
All of them. Give me all the Chargers, man.
Trey Harris getting deep.
Okay, let's not get too.
Trey Harris.
Trey's fine, dude. I mean, Ole Miss, some of those yards per out run stats coming out are pretty nice. We'll see what happens. I just think probably in that offense we're going to see a lot of 12, 13 personnel. We're bringing in Kohler and Njoku. That's kind of why I don't love Gaston. Just could see him not playing quite as well. Charlie Kohler is not. I know they paid him to be their badass blocker, but that dude can move a little bit, man. I think he's going to surprise some people there. I just think Ladd and QJ are going to be the focal points of this passing game. So QJ is another one of those guys. Like, where'd he go?
Yeah, he went 6'11",
6'11",
and he's been moving up a lot.
I know. I was like him a lot more when he was more so, past that wide receiver 40 range. So I think I have him ranked like wide receiver 34, 35, which was edgy a couple weeks ago. Not so much anymore. But all the Chargers, and that is like the one team where it's just Herbert, Mike McDaniel. Shout out Ryan Heath over at Fantasy Points. Obviously, everyone should know him, does fantastic work. But he's talked about how like the later round quarterbacks, not that Herbert's late, but just the guys that really hit and boom sometimes, they come from he coined it the McShanahan coaching tree. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, then also some of the Ben Johnson stuff going on. So just the perfect marriage and McDaniel going there, the offensive line getting healthier. Now, Adam's right. The Chargers are cursed and everything. So I get it. And maybe they just all get injured again. The one way it goes wrong is if they're really run heavy, and that's where, it goes better for Hampton and those guys. But I want to put my chips on this Chargers offense.
I got Herbert as QB4. I'll take.
God, I'm jealous.
Terp, I got a comment for you in the chat. Your dream.
No, it's not a Zach Bond jersey. It's a Philadelphia Eagles number 11 Tim Tebow jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember him in the Eagles jersey. I just remember him running with his shirt off in practice. And
I cried when he didn't
crazy
make the team.
viral.
It was a sad day. A lot of emotion.
Jeez.
Wasn't that Chip Kelly years too? Like he should have been able to.
I think it was a year after. It might have been. I don't remember. I should know that.
Chip Kelly is one of those things, though, guys. Like, I would love to see Sean Mannion, DeClan Doyle, and all these guys just fix their offenses. But every single play caller in the summer when we talk about him is going to fix everything. I don't know. I heard McDaniel one time talking about that and saying how he thinks play calling is overrated because the amount of times he's called, like, in his mind, a terrible play, and his players just figure it out on the field, or vice versa, and they mess it up. So, I think we're often very reactive with our ideas of who the best play callers are. There's a couple gems at the top. I get it. I'm not trying to slander Sean McVay or Ben Johnson or anything, but just take it easy with some of this. DeClan Doyle is going to be fixing the Ravens offense. Put some respect on Todd Monken's name.
Yeah. I mean, even just like, I think the one that truly does matter is the Eagles, though, because it's just such a fundamental shift.
Pretty much too. I mean,
but
the Eagles bar was really low.
The Eagles are such a fundamental shift in the way they play. Like, is Hurts going to be able to adapt to that?
It's a big year for Hurts.
But it's also just the people they're signing, right? Like, they go, drafting. They go out and draft Mekhi Lemon. They go out and draft Eli Stowers, guys who do all their work over the middle of the field, which is Hurts. Like, so is it? As I said it earlier, but on earlier shows that we had, but is this going to help Hurts improve, or is he or is it just going to be like, no, like is it Mekhi Lemon, Eli Stowers' future is going to be so negatively impacted because Hurts can't improve in that area? There's going to be such an interesting offense to watch, especially in those early weeks in the preseason, even.
Ian, what's your outlook on Mekhi Lemon this year?
I like the dude. Like, I thought it was a 4 wide receiver tier at the top. I will give credit to Casey Concepcion and slide him into those guys as well. I did have Lemon behind Tyson and Tate. He's a dog. He is one of these. Man, I've not been drafting him, and it scares me that I haven't been drafting because he is sweet. I do worry that it's just gonna not be the greatest fit in there. Some of the ways he wins over the middle of the field, but probably overthinking a little bit. Like, where'd he go in this draft?
8-1. Like, there's no way I'm taking him over Godwin or Downs.
Yeah, I get that, but I feel like I've been seeing him go alongside Parker Washington and Quentin Johnson and some of these guys. So round 8, Mekhi, I can get behind a little bit more.
I just think that he could potentially be the 4th target on his offense behind Smith, Goddard, Barkley, and then Lemon.
Yeah.
It worries me a little bit. And then they're going to rotate in and Hollywood Brown.
I think you're right, and that's why I probably haven't been drafting him a ton. Yeah. But I'm also just like, are we overthinking the first round, really talented prospect we like? That's the other part.
Yeah.
I am getting the ever important call from the studio. I got to do our little sponsor ad. also ties into our upcoming live draft coverage on Sunday. So I'm going to play that real quick, and then we'll get back to our draft discussion here.
Event draft
We're drafting
season.
a main event team on FFPC $2,000 entry team. Grand prize of $1 million.
I'm looking for that $1 million top prize.
Main event season is in full swing.
If you want to get into the FFPC main event, we got a live draft coverage upcoming on Sunday with Fantasy Points Scott Barrett. Spots still remain in that, so come draft for $1 million with us live 9 p.m. on Sunday. But back to the draft. Some interesting names, Ian, I want to talk to you about in this 12th round. 4 quarterbacks now off the board. We talked about Mahomes, reigning MVP, and Matthew Stafford. Obviously, there's going to be some regression there, especially in the touchdown department. But again, still in that Rams offense. Still has Puka, still has Devonte Adams. Jackson Dart, a name that, at points last year, I thought this was going to be a guy who was going as a top 5 quarterback in 2026 drafts, kind of petered out. There's some baked-in concern. He goes as QB 12. Then Bo Nix, somewhat disappointing second year despite the Broncos' success, but personal for him, coming off an injury. But they add Jalen Waddle. Of those 4 names, honestly, just rank the 4 of them for me, those 12th round quarterbacks. Where are you at on those 4 names?
It's actually refreshing to see Dart this late. I was looking at some, early, but at some point people are going to be doing their home league. So sleeper in ESPN Dart's QB8. And I'm just like, no, absolutely not. But this is like a true late round. We're just betting on the dude's rushing upside. And only Josh Allen had freaking more fantasy points per game from rushing than Dart last season. So yeah, we got the Nabers and the Scoutable issues, but he didn't have those guys for most of last year anyway. He still averaged, I think it was like 19.9 fantasy points per game after he took over. So I really do like Dart the prospect. I know people don't love some of his off the field stuff, whatever. Just talking football though. Dart and Cam Ward, like the stuff they can do off script, man. Maybe I am a sucker for those highlight plays. I understand it's more about working within the confines of the offense, getting the ball out in time and all that stuff. But I feel like that's easier to teach than just being able to avoid 2 sacks and, rolling out to your right, flick the ball 50 yards downfield like Dart and Ward can do. So I'm high on the guy in the future. Yeah. Now, look, I've already had Justin Herbert and I already had Jalen Hurts. I think it's a little early to maybe take my second QB, but they're kind of doing their thing here right now. But I would go Dart, Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, and Stafford. The regression, I don't want to be the boy who cries regression, but, Stafford, a touchdown rate. And just that defense being so much better, man. I just, Stafford's been incredible his whole career with the Rams, and last year was the first time he broke past QB 11 in Fantasyland at least. So probably not going to see that going again. Goff, fantastic pick, starting round 13. Good job, team 1 right there. And then, I will say with Mahomes, he did get back over 20 fantasy points per game last year, but it was because of career best rushing stuff, and obviously shouldn't exactly expect that coming back from the ACL. Nix would be the one guy, as long as that ankle's okay, which, Sean Payton's told us it is good. Like, Nix, back-to-back top 12 seasons. I wish his numbers were not really bad, but I do think that Packers game end of the year was nice. He did outduel a really bad version of Josh Allen, in the playoffs. So Nix has flash, and then you add Jalen Waddle, man. We could be sitting here in week 6 going why were we not higher on this Broncos offense? Because O-line's good. Now Sutton's your 2. Waddle could be that sort of, gravity lid lifter that just makes everything easier. Broncos these last 2 years, 2nd worst offense in deep ball catch rate. Troy Franklin and Bo Nix, worst chemistry I've seen from college teammates since Mason Rudolph and James Washington, fellas. We're really going to the bag with some names tonight. But, yeah, these round 12 quarterbacks, even Goff, man, I love it.
Yeah, Bo Nix, I kind of said a disappointing second year, and then I go look just to confirm. QB8 in the FFPC. Obviously had some huge spike weeks, and it didn't look as smooth. But, obviously we got to see how the ankle turns out. But Jalen Waddle was that explosive element that offense was really missing. And for all that Sean Payton is annoying for fantasy owners with how he handles his running backs at his press conferences, he is an offensive wizard. Some really interesting names in there. It is crazy that the defending MVP off of 42 touchdowns last year is pretty clearly, I think, the 4th guy out of those names, but is what it is. And Dart, I'll just speak real quick on Dart, is just I know there's the baked-in injury risk because of just how he kind of plays just without a care in the world for his health. But, I mean, his rushing upside is immense. We talk about Kyler. We talk about Hurts's rushing upside, obviously Lamar and Allen, and then Drake May too. But, I mean, Jackson Dart might be the best one out of all of them this year. It's very possible that he could just be that massive goal line threat, even with Scadaboo there. And I think he's a value. I think it's nice because, Ian, as you kind of said, there was a point in last year where he was trending like, oh, that's guy is going to be a top 5 pick. I'm very comfortable taking Jackson Dart. I mean, Justin Herbert and Jackson Dart as my 2 quarterbacks, like, sign me up.
Look, I better than Jackson. Okay, or round similar architecture, similar offense, similar question marks. To be nice with the calls. That's really bad take. That's all.
Is your mic cutting out? I don't think you had a bad take. Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, no, now we can hear you. Yeah, we were just sitting there talking. So your mic was cutting in and out. I didn't even hear
all I heard was Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 1. That's
all. Okay, I was saying, like, Jaden Daniels, I think, is better than Jackson Dart, but 4 rounds different for a guy that we're hoping just basically gets their rushing. They have 1 wide receiver in their offense, and we have question marks kind of with the play caller and overall things. So again, Daniels did it more so than Dart, but give that dude a little credit for last year,
That's a great take. I feel bad that your mic cut out and we were just staring at you as though you were like an idiot. We made you feel like,
like someone, guys.
Like we're just like, I don't know if it was on my end or not.
I think Nick Bo Nix is on the peptide, so I think he'll be fine.
Jesus Christ.
Who's on the peptides? Who's gotten married? Let's ask the real questions.
Yeah, I mean, we know in fantasy we're trying to find the edge. We're watching celebrity softball tape where we're tracking. I mean, I do think a legitimate thing is like who has kids, like who becomes a dad in season is a huge plus. Like if you know someone had a kid, they're going off that week. It's the dad boost.
Or are you tired?
No, you always get that new dad strength boost, and maybe later on in the season, the adrenaline those first couple weeks, but it's going to carry you. Terp, I got to ask you real quick. Are you surprised with all the positive press about Denzel Boston? I know the offense very well could be a mess. As Ian said, though, put some respect on Todd Monken's name. Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, almost a 3-round difference. Does that still surprise you? Like, obviously, when you come to FFPC, when we do these streams, you're seeing high-stakes drafters, competing for 6-figure, 7-figure grand prizes. They know their stuff. So, and I think maybe more casual leads bluntly, you're seeing Boston rise up because he's getting all the buzz. What are high stakes drafters seeing that you're still seeing that gap between Boston and Concepcion?
I mean, Concepcion's a little more of an exciting player. I mean, people like the spice, the hype. I know Boston's getting a lot of positive press so far, but it's still the Browns offense. I mean, you said it. I mean, it's really hard to get excited about anything in that offense right now. Sean Watson, I'm guessing, is going to be a starting quarterback, but like we don't know how long he's going to play. And then Shador Sanders, we really get excited. Like, what is a ceiling? Like, you're taking a guy like Denzel Boston. What's the best case scenario that happens? Let's not forget about me and Jake's boy Jerry Jeudy. He's still going to be around. He's still a veteran who's going to get plenty of run, whether it's a positive run, who knows? Harold Fann's still there. I mean, Isaiah Bond's been getting a lot of positive.
I'm actually off Jeudy now, and I'm on Isaiah Bond. I think.
Boo.
No.
Never off Jeudy. But I think Jeudy gets traded.
He's great in OTAs. He could be the starter. Sanders.
Of course, he looks good in OTAs. He weighs 170 pounds. He better look good.
Sanders had the connection with him last year. He could be, a legit vertical threat. I mean, he has the talent. He was projected a day 2 pick till all that stuff happened. And he went undrafted, but I think that, late, it's not a terrible pick. I mean, Boston and Concepcion are rookies who knows how much they're going to play out of the gate. Bond already knows the system. I don't mind him in the 20th round. See what he does.
We all know I'm a Jalen Naylor stan when it comes to where he's being drafted, and Trey Tucker, same thing when it comes to the Raiders. I will
Speedy Naylor, but he runs
either one of them over Boston and Concepcion.
I think wasn't he like one of the best like separators in the league? I think I thought I saw Steve G say that last week.
He was seemingly on the end of like the 12 really good passes JJ McCarthy threw all season. I will give Naylor.
Like the Charlie Day meme from Always Sunny, where he's like crazed eyes at the board. That's what like is you guys being like, I'm the Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Bond, like just to the average person. And then we got Turtle. I'm a Jalen Naylor stan. Just degenerate activities right here.
Someone said in the chat, they're like all the wide receivers past round whatever. I mean, that's why we're still looking for wide receivers at this point. I mean, what are we freaking doing at this point? So
there's
it's
two
interesting.
Ian, there's wide receivers that haven't went that are legit. Turk knows them.
Hunter, right? That's one.
Nope. We got to talk about Travis Hunter because you said it earlier, and I wanted to bring it back up because he hasn't been drafted yet.
You're the first person we've had who's been pro Travis Hunter on the show, Ian.
Sell me all on Travis Hunter. Why in a redraft?
In redraft,
best ball, I get it. In a redraft league, when are you clicking Travis Hunter?
Now.
What, in a lineup weekly where you have to click a button, when are you clicking Travis Hunter?
We said that about Parker Washington last year, and he was a league winner down the stretch. So I hear you. I'm not going to be thrilled in week one, but if we are drafting in July and we want guys where we're positive news, they could be going up the ranks. I mean, that's absolutely Travis Hunter. I believe in the talent. Look, I wasn't even a Travis Hunter guy last year. I did not draft much of him at all. And I'm not even going to sit here and tell you the freaking folklore of him going for 100 yards in garbage time in that, morning England game that everyone make out to be, the second coming of Rashee Rice or whatever. I just think when he had the football in his hands, man, he was a freaking a problem to get to the ground. He's got great contested catch ability. Number 2 overall pick, partly for the cornerback stuff, but even if that dude was a full-time wide receiver, he was not going to be waiting very long to hear his name called.
What is best case scenario for his snap share?
Take the freaking baller who just went number 2 overall in round 14. That's all I'm saying. What's his best case snap share? Probably like 60% to start, but if any single guy gets injured, maybe he's a full-timer then.
Makes sense.
I was
there he goes. Let's go, team 3.
Hey,
let's go, team 3.
That's a you pick right there.
I was a big fan of James Gladstone purely because from the Les Snead, and then in the last year I've kind of been like, maybe this guy is both too young and too smart for his own good.
That's also possible.
Like I don't know if I don't know, dude. Like this guy looks like he's younger than me.
All right, hold on. I want to try to guess Jake's receivers though. Based on similar principles. I know it's crowded, but Omar Cooper, round 1 wide receiver, still being on the board. No.
Yo, very, very close, though.
Very close.
Could not be closer, actually.
It's just you're missing.
What, A.J. Mitchell?
Yep, we love it.
In Ian's bio, in Ian's Twitter bio, is A.D. Mitchell is good.
A.D. Mitchell.
Good.
He's been cooking.
And wide receiver 3, Trey Tucker. He will be a top 36 receiver. Book it.
God. The projected targets are there for Tucker. I just don't go back and watch his 40-point performance in the 3 blown coverage touchdowns, But yeah. Omar Cooper, though, I love me some A.D. Mitchell too, man. Like just separation ability against man coverage, I think is like the toughest thing it is for a wide receiver. So if you can, he can obviously catch the freaking football.
Right.
I know he had troubles with it last year, but look at the drop leaderboard during any given year. And by the it's not like Mitchell is some like freaking removed from everyone else in the stat. He hasn't been great, but look at the drop leaderboard any given year. You're going to see some damn good wide receivers who are good enough to get open enough to kind of drop the ball in the first place. So
and he can stretch the field. Like Geno Smith has proven that he can support 2 wide receivers. He did it with DK and JSN or whoever. But in the 18th round, whatever, 16th round, he's a good flyer.
I forgot how sick that play was before you dropped the ball at the 1 yard line, bro. It was like Ryan Williams versus Georgia a couple years ago, spinning away, making 2 dudes bounce into each other. So I love it.
It is pretty crazy.
He got cut right after that, right?
It's pretty crazy to see someone's career, not NFL career, but career with the Colts end in real time. Like
you could use a guy like A.D. Mitchell, Colts.
Yeah, they really could.
They actually could.
My biggest concern there, though, Jake, let me ask you, because you're in on A.D. Mitchell, and obviously when we're talking 16th, 17th, 18th round, like, who cares at the end of the day? It's a dart throw. But as much as I want to get behind an Omar Cooper and A.D. Mitchell, even Garrett Wilson, Geno Smith was one of, if not the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. Frank Reich's last 2 times he's been calling plays in the NFL with Carolina, and his last year in Indy have been disastrous.
Bro,
And
look
Aaron
what he did the
Glenn's-
last 2 years after that. Out of football, and he leads like one of the worst college offenses with Stanford. Brutal.
That's just
Yeah,
that's just like where it's like I want to talk myself into the Jets. I talked myself into the Jets last year, and maybe I'm just scarred.
I mean,
never
we'll
talk
see.
yourself into the Jets.
He has no one behind him, so I mean, I don't like. We'll see. I mean, he is probably arguably one of the best quarterbacks that Garrett Wilson has had. I mean, he got
It's
he had a
so
40-year-old.
sad, man.
No, it is. But, you know, when you're this late, like ideally you want to be taking flyers on running backs because most of these receivers aren't going to pan out. But you know, AD, if he can carve out that wide receiver 2 role, you know, flex player maybe, you know, bye week fill in. But
More of a
ideally
best
around this range, you're grabbing like running backs like Lloyd and you know those Dylan Sampson. Those guys.
Look at Alvin Kamara, round 11. Team 9 knows ball.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
I was just surprised. I was like, oh, is Kamara still up there? Oh, he went way before. Fellas, I'm sorry, though. My wife gave me a 10:30.
Dude, of course.
This
We
was
appreciate
awesome,
you.
though. Can't wait to get in these streets. Check out RotoWire if you're into that kind of thing, but free country, you know, so I get it as well. But this was awesome, fellas. Happy drafting, and, you know, best of luck to everyone this year.
Appreciate it, Ian. We'll talk to you soon. Ian Hartitz, ladies and gentlemen, hell of a show. Terp, Jake, we got 5 rounds left, though. We're still cooking. Jordan Love, I mean, I just want to say, continuing our conversation we were having with Ian about the quarterbacks and just pointing it out. A guy that we talked about, like Jordan Love, 15th round, QB 19. I didn't want to.
I mean, you're playing a little Russian roulette at quarterback when you're doing that. Like when you're.
It just feels like if you wait, you're going to get somebody, though. There's just so many names.
It is hard to click the button every week. You don't want to. I mean, you can easily, be torturing yourself. But like, I mean, some of these guys who are getting late, like if you just make a bet on Lawrence or Purdy or Prescott or Hurts or Williams or any of those guys, and just you follow up with a Jordan Love as your backup, Baker as your backup. Like, I don't see any downside in that. I just don't. Me and Jake talk about this daily. We need to get more Josh Allen. We need to take more Josh Allen. Josh Allen's the guy we got to get. But that's just like for roster construction. I love Josh Allen, but like it's just so hard to click Josh Allen when I can get Trevor Lawrence 6 rounds later.
I mean, this has to be a make or break year for Jordan Love. Like we all think that it's going to be a more consolidated offense. You have your 3 starting wide receivers, your starting tight end, your starting running back. You're not going to see Wicks and Savion Williams and all them, running around. But I mean, they paid him. He just at some point it's just you got to move on from the guy. And I just think that like I said, we're talking dark horse like MVPs. I have Jordan Love as my dark horse MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Odds are probably not in my favor, not even close. But I think that
it's a worthwhile dark though.
Yeah, we're talking like dark horse,
Yeah, I will say also real quick, team 1. I can scroll real quick, but we were talking about the Laporte. Obviously, you can't predict how your draft is going to go, but I mean, stacking's not for everyone, but you got to be kicking yourself a bit knowing that Jared Goff would be one of your quarterbacks and you went Kelsey over Laporte. Just kind of pop it back onto that follow up. I think is a bit unfortunate. Name that we haven't discussed at all. Either of you buying Terrence Ferguson 2nd-year leap in LA? No.
I like Colby Parkinson if I'm going to take a dart on any of those guys. I mean,
I like Ferguson.
He's going to be on the field if they're running a bunch of 3 tight end sets, you would think, right?
I mean, Parkinson, Puka or Adams are going to have to get hurt for one of those tight ends to be relevant. Last year was Parkinson when Adams got hurt, but it's just you really want to click that button every week. I don't think you want to, you never know who's going to score. I mean, as a flyer as your tight end 3, the upside maybe, and you get the free look on Thursday night. So maybe not on the Baby Gorilla, you don't. But main event, Baby Gorilla.
You would get the free look in the Baby Gorilla.
You do, yeah. So you get that free look. If he goes off for a couple touchdowns, boom, start him and you keep him. But I mean, I'd rather wait.
A tough one to take unless everything works out with injuries. That's just best ball, great like tight end 3.
Yeah.
You're drafting an FFPC best ball team like Ferguson as your number 3 or Parkinson as your number 3. I'm good with that.
There's just
take Evan Ingram.
In redraft, I agree. I'm taking Evan Ingram. I'm taking, Greg Dulcich. I'm taking Freiermuth. I'm taking guys like that. Gunnar Helm. To me, it's just.
What about AJ Barner? I saw some AJ Barner love in the chat.
Yeah, I don't mind him. He was solid last year.
Elijah Arroyo is not, he had a little bit of hype last year as being drafted in a lot of these.
Had some moments. Very small, but you see the potential of this with the Royals.
68 targets, 52 catches, 6 touchdowns from Barner last year.
You could do worse.
Yeah, fine tight end, late tight end too.
Scored in the Super Bowl, I believe. Super Bowl scoring tight end. That was just some late round tight end talk for us. I know Ian, when he was on, he was talking about Baker. We discussed Kyler a lot. He was saying like the Boomer Sooner. He likes those 2 names late, but we didn't kind of follow up on the Baker. Where are you guys? We talked about Chris Godwin, talked about kind of Bucky and Kenneth Gainwell. No more Mike Evans. Where are you guys at on Baker Mayfield? Had an MVP type start to last year and then just faded off completely, got really banged up. QB 20, 15th round.
Yeah, last year, Baker was banged up himself last year, right? Evans was hurt. Godwin was coming off a brutal injury. Egbuka was banged up. So, all of his weapons were a little banged up. And then, I don't know. I like Baker this year, but I'm also, healthy Godwin, healthy Egbuka, healthy Jalen McMillan, right?
Ted Hurst.
Ted Hurst. They have Gainwell out of the backfield. I'm very high on Gainwell.
I like Kate Adam.
Auden, Auden, people don't realize this. He plays almost 100% of the snaps every single game.
Just doesn't get
He's
the
like
targets.
98 to 100 every game.
Just doesn't get the targets.
No, he doesn't.
I love Baker. I don't think it's a hot take at all, but I think Baker finishes at a QB1.
Overall? Yeah, there you go. Dark horse.
Can you tell me do you have it in your head to kind of say those 12?
Allen, Jackson, Hurts, May, Burrow, Lawrence, Williams,
Herbert, Caleb.
Herbert. I said Caleb.
Yeah.
I see him right in that 30 Prescott range.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Where was he? He was like a top 5 quarterback 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
A lot's going to come down with the health of, obviously Godwin's healthy. He's a guy that's getting a lot of positive press. Egbuka is a guy that, we've seen guys draft him crazy this year.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen McMillan, who I'm a big fan of. Is he going to be healthy? I think the talent's there. It's just, can he stay on the field? I like Kate Otten more than most. I'm not saying he's some superstar. Ted Hurst is getting a lot of positive press. Gainwell's a big addition. Bucky seems like he's trending positively. And most importantly, Baker wants to get paid, man. And they're going to do everything possible to, put him in a situation to succeed. If the health's there, if something happens to Godwin or Egbuka, this could fall off the cliff, real quick.
Maybe though, because they still have like Tez Johnson, who had a couple games last year.
He's no slouch. Yeah.
But it felt like Nick's in the 12th or Baker, in the back end of the 15th. I'd rather have Baker.
Dart,
yeah.
I'll just wait and take Baker 4 rounds later.
I will say, I do think a guy like Dart, I'd feel more comfortable taking.
Yeah, because
I'd comfortable taking a 3-round difference.
He's the rushing upside. That's fair.
Right. Just purely because of that. But Mahomes and Stafford, I'll just wait for Baker.
I think Baker's someone you can draft him, you could pair him with Love, you could pair him with Goff. But he's a safe quarterback. So if you're going to draft Kyler, maybe draft Baker because
he's also a very high upside backup quarterback.
Team 8 took him with Jaden Daniels, which I feel like makes a lot of sense.
Taking him with Hurts, taking him with Daniels, taking him with Caleb Williams makes so much sense.
Tank Dell getting drafted in the 16th round.
There's so many other. I remember the first couple ones we did. The receivers being drafted down here were not as ugly. And I'm not saying these guys are, but none of these names that are getting drafted down here are really exciting. A.D. Mitchell we talked about, but Tesla, I get it. I see the path, but it's a dark path to get there. Branch, I see it, but still tough, with London and Pitts there. Tank Dell, I don't see it at all.
You know what worries me a little bit is I don't know. I just cannot, the Jaguars offense is scaring me this year because all the signs look good with BTJ and Parker Washington, but Liam Cohen literally came out at some point and said he's going to spread the ball around. He's going to do what he has to win games. Like, that offense does not require a wide receiver one. You know what I mean? So I want to like BTJ and I want to like Washington, but they both just scare me because
the answer might just be Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Trevor Lawrence, Bayshal Tootin.
Also concerns though, what if Tootin isn't the guy? That's very possible. That running back room might be. I mean, the Jaguars, it's very possible to take a step down. They're such a trendy team. I think. But
Rodriguez doesn't catch the ball. He's you need 4 yards. He's going to get you 4 yards. He's Tootin is the upside. I'm big on Tootin. I thought when I watched him play last year, he looked fantastic. He looked explosive. I think that, in the 5th round, 6th round, he's someone that can get you 300 plus touches, which is why I'm on him. But the receiving options really, really do worry me.
If you're going zero RB, I think Tootin's a great guy to start with.
Yeah. I can see. My Kentucky bias, but just knowing the connection with Cohen and they paid him the money, I think Rodriguez is just going to have more of a role than people want.
I agree. He's a guy that nobody's even talking about because he was obviously injured, but I love Liam Cohen. I think he is a cheat code when it comes to it. It's just a question, like Jake said. He said it perfectly. It's hard to trust BTJ. I love Parker Washington. Jacoby Myers is a good NFL receiver, but you're never clicking that button. And then Brendan Strange, they hype him up. He's a guy that
just got
paid. Talk about waiting on players and where did Strange go? 10th round.
You don't
draft tight end. If you miss out on the top guys and then you miss out on the Andrews, Goddards, Chig, guys like that, and you can figure out a way to get a Strange or a Dulcich to start your team, you could do way worse. Hunter Henry, way worse. I'm just saying, I'm not recommending that, but Strange is going to be the guy. I mean, they paid him. They talk about him a lot. He's going to be on the field a lot. You could do way worse. And I know there's a lot of guys, but
people also hate Myers, but they also did just pay him. And when on the Jaguars last year, he averaged 7 targets a game. He's not just going to go away.
We talk about Trevor Lawrence, about his end of stretch. That was following the Jacoby Myers trade.
Right. And Myers is a good slot receiver.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a great slot receiver. So it's BTJ will be on the field, for 90% of snaps. We know that. But, where I struggle is if they're in 2 wide receiver sets, is it Washington? Is it Myers? And then you mix in Travis Hunter.
That's what I'm saying. We're not drafting him, but Travis Hunter is going to have at least 1 or 2 games where it's the Travis Hunter game. No one's going to have him in the lineup, and it kills our BTJ, it kills our Parker Washington.
Liam Cohen does not care about fantasy football. We know that. So we kind of have to.
Any coach gives a shit about fantasy.
I know.
Football.
We have to just take what.
I don't agree with that. I think some of them do.
Some of them probably do, but it's just do you limit them to best ball? Who are you taking in redraft? It's just a lot of it is just it scares me. But
know your format. Let's just keep it. Let's keep it. And when it comes to that, know your format because certain guys, make a ton of sense in best ball, but don't make the same sense.
Last year I was doing 28 round best balls, and and I remember during the preseason I was like, man, Washington looks good. They were targeting a lot over the middle of the field, and so I would just click him in the 20th round and pull through. He pulled through for the end of the year, but this year now it's the same thing with Alec Pierce. The dude that you picked up off the waivers last year that steamed up to the 6th round, you're probably drafting them at their ceiling. It just they scare me. They definitely it's tough.
No, it's so hard because to discern, not that it's a one-hit wonder, but was that guy's waiver wire post waiver wire run just kind of the one-off, and then or is that a legitimate thing to build on? And it's oftentimes it's somewhere in the middle. But as you said, that doesn't mean that it equates the price that they're going at. Jake, I kind of wanted to ask you. It's really kind of a good question late in these drafts. You're my guy who I go to for preseason. You watch every game. You take detailed notes. You're watching the tape. Preseason's a month away. Is there anything right now that you're kind of excited to look for? I mean, I'm sure there's some things that you're kind of already maybe intrigued to see these preseason games. I know a lot of that, a lot of your stuff about the preseason, you kind of try and go with an open mind and your takes are formed from actually watching it. But I'm sure there's some things that are, popping around in your head right now that you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of offenses I want to see, like, get out there. The Jaguars, one of them. I really want to see the Titans offense because I want to see Ward build on that connection with Carnell Tate. I really want to see the Saints. I want to see how they use ETN. But I just love watching the preseason because I record every game. I watch every game through. It's quick, it's fast, and then I take notes, and that's how when no one was on Jonathan Taylor last year, I was all over Jonathan Taylor. I said, "Wow, the O-line looks good. They're using him out of the backfield. He looks explosive." Boom. Swift, same thing. Obviously, I missed on a couple like Calvin Ridley and Ricky
you're going
Pearson.
to.
You're gonna miss on some, but Ladd, I faded Ladd. Everyone hated that take, but I just think that everyone drafting on FFPC mode, they care about fantasy. I think that if you watch the preseason, you can put yourself at such a more of an advantage to opposed to someone who doesn't watch it because you notice stuff that even some analysis people miss. You can kind of create your own opinions on players.
Or you watch our shows and you hear what Jake has watched. Another great way to do this.
Another team he didn't mention is the Miami Dolphins.
There you
the
go.
Wide receiver room is
a wasteland.
Is it though?
Yes.
On paper it is.
No,
but
we're not going to do this. Yes, it is a wasteland.
18th round, Malik Washington.
Right. What's right?
Best the Baby Gorilla. But Malik Washington is a sneaky best ball. So can I ask you, because shout out Theo Grimminger, another new addition to RotoWire, been on our show many a time. A great follow for anyone who doesn't follow Theo on any platform that he's on. But he mentioned a great point by you about flipping the switch. So many people have been, they start best ball heavy in these early months, and now post July 4th, they're starting to flip to redraft and the Baby Gorilla, the big gorilla, the main event. You personally, you're an experienced veteran, years upon years, decades in the FFPC. How do you go about that? You've been you drafted in the best ball live, and you're starting to gear up for redraft. What's your way to kind of pivot? Because it is a wholly different game, best ball to redraft. So what is not maybe strategy, but how do you go about that?
I mean, it's all about structure. It's all about, how you build teams and what when you overall go into a draft. I don't really go in with a plan because I think that's a flawed mentality because a lot of things happen during drafts. And you say, hey, I'm picking from 11. I'm going to start two running backs. Okay. So what happens if, JSN falls down there or Bowers falls down there? Are you just not going to take them because you wanted to start off that way? So I go into every draft the same way, just looking at when I'm on the clock, what's the best type of, way, and then try to plan out the next pick and the next pick after that and what's going to fall because you don't want to get caught up. So when it comes to best ball, most of the drafts we're doing earlier best ball. I mean, it's just, you start off, you start getting familiar with the board, seeing where guys go, but you also can get caught up with, like we talked about with the Jaguars. We love Brian Thomas and Jake Parker Washington. Makes a lot of sense. But my famous line that I've used on this show 1,000 times, Jake used it earlier, you have to click a button. And in redraft, when you're going through these teams and you're looking at these guys who are being drafted, let's just say 11th round on. I'm just staring at it. We like Jaden Higgins. But is Jaden Higgins going to be a guy that you're going to be like, I'm excited to put him in the lineup? No injuries. Or like Deebo Samuel, if he goes to Kansas City, Isaac Tesla, even Jalen Naylor and Trey Tucker. In best ball, it just makes more sense to just do things a little bit more different when it comes to, building teams. Hey, Jalen Naylor's going to have 4 or 5 spike weeks. I'm good. I don't got to click any button. In redraft, you can be clicking that Jalen Naylor button and he can go 1 for 10 very easily. And then you're behind the 8 ball. So,
well, Turk, like you said, it's all structure. So if you're drafting, right, and your 9th round, Kincaid's there, okay? There's concern with Kincaid. I mean, he's had 2 down years. I mean, there's been a lot of good injuries. So do you pair Kincaid with someone like Sadiq or Gadsden? No. Why would you do that? Because all 3 have risks, right? If I'm drafting Kincaid, I'm going to pair him with someone like Mark Andrews, Goddard, someone like a safe play. And I think that when people are drafting, if you draft 2 stud running backs, right, and then maybe, in the 8th, 9th round, you go for some upside, right? But if you draft one, if you do hero RB and then you're there in the 8th round, you probably don't want to go for like an RJ Harvey and like, guys that you'd rather take someone like J.K. Dobbins. You got to look at your build and draft off your build. That's one thing that I've learned is don't just draft guys because maybe they're the best player there. Try and draft people that fit your build.
Yeah. And one other thing, an interesting point too with basketball compared to redraft is redrafting the Baby Gorilla, the Big Gorilla, the main event is you have the ability to drop these guys if, it doesn't pan out.
1,000%. Yeah. Like you look at guys like Marshawn Lloyd and Jaden Blow, who are starting to be the darlings of late best ball drafts. Mm-hmm. We all love them. Braylon Allen, whether it's going to be a Keelan Black or Jordan James, George Kalani, who's being Sean Tucker got a little steam there. Singleton and Allen we've talked about. Guys like that, like they could be drawn dead in your best ball lineup all year with zeros very easily. And you can't draft them. In redraft, you take all these shots, especially at the end of these drafts, you're just stockpiling lottery tickets.
Yeah.
Because it don't work out.
Even like the free looks, right? Like that's just another thing that people I think forget about when they first get back here. Like these free look, like I'm gonna be annoying and start beating the drum. Jake Tongas, I think, is one of the best free looks you can have because
Parkinson.
Yeah, like you got to be hammering them. Like Tongas, especially because even if Kittle's back, I think he's going to be very limited to start. And Tongas kind of showed out at times last year. I'm intrigued at Sean Green drafting at a 10 spot, big Niners fan of the chat. I'm intrigued his thoughts on Tongas there. I think he's a guy who could very easily get his way into a couple of touchdowns down there in Australia, especially if Kittle's not playing. I mean, Purdy seemed to trust him. So that's certainly something I think another just, transition over redraft that people need to remember.
Yeah, I mean, take it. It's free points. And as people have seen over the years, you'll miss the playoffs by 2 points. Oh, man, I missed. What did I do wrong? Take Christian Kirk on the free look, right? Take Kayshon Boutte, take Demario Douglas, take these random people in the 20th round and drop them right after for a guy that you just take the free look, right? If you see a kicker there at the end, just take them. And then just drop them. Some people, they get lazy though, but I'm telling you, those 4 or 5 points, they do matter. They do matter. And you need all the points you can get.
And trust me, you look back at these points at the end of the year and you miss the playoffs by 5, 6, 10, 15 points, whatever it is. These little things that, Jake just talked about when it comes to the free look could change the difference between you making a run at $1 million or you sitting home with $0.
And another big thing is that I'm going to let people know, get your defenses a week ahead. Because you can get them for $1, and then the next week you don't have to waste your time doing it. Get them the Saturday before. Look ahead to next week's schedule. All right, I'll take this defense for $1 because again, those points matter. And if then it's opposed
Jake,
to.
I'll be honest. Some people would even say a couple weeks ahead. Like you look at a team that has if you look at this team has a nice 3-game stretch in 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time, just jump on them early and just storm.
That's it. Just take every advantage you can get.
Christian Kirk, guys. Anything? Is he going to give us anything?
Plays out of the slot. I mean,
they have a hole there. Their receivers are not known for staying healthy.
We might get a couple serviceable weeks early in the season out of Christian Kirk. Do I think he's going to be
another free look guy that could be interesting?
To me, he's my favorite non tight end.
I mean, Sharp, I wasn't on Evans, but I'm getting on him now because Vegas is high on him. He could have 10 plus touchdowns. It's just, he's going to be a tough guy to miss. But after Evans, I just think the only players I really are targeting are Purdy and CMC. And CMC is a little 50-50. But Pearsall and Kirk take a flyer, but they're not like sexy picks.
I'd rather Christian Kirk in round 19 than
Pearsall around 11.
I'm talking myself, Jake, into Mike Evans in the same vein as like what Devonte did last year. Like he's going to be fantasy relevant because he's going to have 15 touchdowns. The yardage is going to be there. He's not going to look at all like his prime. But
that is what Shanahan did. He saw what the Rams did with Adams.
He's been dominating. But the earlier accounts, like the guy we had on the show last week, Coach Big Index, I think, was talking about. I want to say the tweet came from him. I might be wrong, but he was saying that the Niners coaches were talking about how Evans has just been dominating.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to dominate. Just with Kittle out, Purdy and Evans.
And he has a chip on his shoulder a little bit too, off of that poor season. I mean, he's motivated to perform, and in a certainly obviously was so banged up, but you know, we've seen him when he had Liam Cohen as his OC, like, you know, what he did. And I mean, he's there, and if he stays healthy, he's likely going to be the first look option.
I think that when it's all said and done, when it comes down to research, everyone should do their own research. Read the beat reports, watch the preseason games. Don't base everything. Don't listen to one person. Just do your own research. I have been screwed so many times putting all my eggs in one basket, listening to one person. Flip the script, start doing your own research, and then make your own opinions.
And also, like, the hype's going to be there, like we saw last year at Xavier Worthy. I know he got hurt. I'm just using him as an example. The guy that started off to just continue to rise up draft boards. Everybody loves. He was a breakout this, breakout that. Injury did happen, and his season was done. So, like,
yeah, I mean, Sean G. I like everything that you did. I pretty much would have done. I'm not a quarterback early person, but I got
away with it.
You got him you got a person that's going to lead fantasy and scoring probably in the 4th round. Not an issue. I like Adams, Thomas, White, Kincaid, and Andrews. That's exactly what I just said. I would have went Keith Mitchell or Chris Rodriguez, but you can, do whatever you want with that. I mean, that's
I think it's the best team
right there. That is a Turpinite team for sure.
I think it's the best team that I've seen drafted in this league.
Yeah.
I don't think it's close. And I'm not just saying that because Sean G is a great dude. Met him a bunch of times. Real good people, a friend of the show. He knows I'll rip his team. Outside of some small things here and there, it's definitely the best team that I've seen.
I would love to rag on it, Sean, but unfortunately I can't.
I gotta admit, a really interesting build, but I kind of like what Team 1 did. I know we talked about Rashee and maybe a
he got too cute at quarterback. He's fine at quarterback, but he got a little too cute.
Got a little too cute. I think some of the comments, Jonah Coleman. I mean, they needed a running. I think I would have switched it up and maybe instead of Dobbs or Myers, gone a running back there, because then you could have gotten a Dak, a Purdy, a Dart as your QB1.
That's a prime example of where you take a Dobbins right there.
Yeah,
you made the bet at tight end. You got to stick with the bet.
I think the issue too is, Terp, you do it a lot in your drafts, right? Like you take your 2 running backs and, I'm going to ride or die with these guys. Riding or dying, Josh Jacobs this year is just incredibly risky. Who knows what's going to happen with his legal stuff. More than likely he's going to play. It's going to drag on like it always does. And a potential suspension is coming in 2027. But with that risk, especially going at the 301, but overall, I do actually like what they did. Like, I think, making their bet, as you said, with those 3 tight ends. What you should
after that, take Wandell and then stop.
Let me say one more thing about the drafting 2 running backs and then stopping. That scares me, because if one of those running backs goes down, you're screwed.
Well, but that's why. But he knows that. Right. He knows that that's where he's like, if these 2 guys are done, I'm fucked. And
like going back to Sean G's team, Sean G did it perfectly. 2 good running backs. Grab White as your RB3, good. But some people, they'll do like, they'll draft, let's just say Barkley and Chase Brown at the end, and they won't draft running backs till like Keaton Mitchell, Tracy. Like if one of those 2 running backs goes down, you're screwed, right? You just need that RB3, like a Pollard.
Like Team 2 here, when Bijan, Henry hammered receiver, and then they went Rico. Like they did a good job with that. And then Hurts and Knicks, that's another solid build. But fellas, it's almost 11 here on the East Coast, so we're gonna wrap it up. Hell of a show. I know he had to leave a little bit early, but shout out Ian Hartitz for hopping on. Go give him a follow if you don't already.
Great follow.
One of the greatest follows on fantasy Twitter. I'm truly not just saying that, not only for information, but also
just an overall funny dude. Forget all those fancy.
Great analyst, even funnier person. So shout out Ian for coming to analyze. Shout out to the 12 drafters competing for the 100K. As I said earlier, we will be back Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Scott Barrett from Fantasy Points is joining us. 7 spots left in the main event draft. That is going to sell out, as all our streams do. So if you really want to get in, compete for the $1 million, Sunday night prime time, go hop in there before it sells out. And then Tuesday, I believe the 21st, we will be back with a best ball tournament stream with Justin Herzig from Establish the Run. And then Friday, July 31st, Jake Terp Balky's hosting that one. with the guys from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Ryan Kramer, Sean Green, in a big gorilla. So go sign up for those upcoming live draft coverages. Go play. It's post July 4th. Fantasy season is absolutely in full swing. It already was, but now it really is. We will see you guys on Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, for our main event draft coverage. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you on Sunday night.
Later.